said that if he gets elected, he wants a lower dollar anyway. So, yeah, not a lot to like, I'm afraid.
No, definitely. We'll get to that later. I think actually is going up on Friday, so I'm sure the article will already be up then. Yeah. But if we stay on debt just for a little bit, now we can get into all those pretty interesting topics. The government debt market is very large, but then there's also the shadow banking private debt market as well. So do you think that could be sort of something else that's, could lead to these issues moving forward? Because I think some of the, the gap between private and public debt isn't that high. It's actually very surprising.
Yeah, but the difference is that debt in the private sector, as long as it's not financing consumption and it's financing production, is actually non-inflationary. If anything, it's disinflationary in the sense that it leads to falling prices. I would say that private sector debt, is very, very different from public sector debt. Very, very different. And you can't just make a straightforward comparison. The idea that, if you look at sort of total debt, sort of total debt in the economy, they say something like, I don't know, I'm just making a figure up, 300%, of which government is only 100%. The problem is in the private sector. No, it's not in the private sector, it's in the government sector, because it spends in excess of its tax income unproductively. It is therefore inflationary. That is the debt that's the problem. And the debt trap, the dynamics of the debt trap are basically when you get an increase in the cost of that debt in the form of interest rates that is increasing at a rate faster than the rate of GDP growth, then you're in the debt trap. It's quite simple. It just goes to the point where suddenly nobody's going to lend to you because, what do? You put up the interest rate, and the interest rate then works against you because it makes that relationship between interest and GDP, interest growth and GDP growth.
All right, I didn't mean to ignore you. I didn't. Well, anyway, we're live. Ham will be on in minutes. He's at rehab. And I don't know if they're rehabbing the important parts or the bad parts. I don't know. What was I going to say? Oh, Nixxy came out with a new. Maybe we have time to look at it with a new PR piece, not public relations, press release piece. So let me set this up so I can see what I'm showing you. Okay, allow. Enter. All right, I'm there. Two of us. Mute. Mute. All right. I hate this whole, that is here. So if I move this over a little bit, maybe it'll be, I don't know. I really wish I knew what I was doing. Okay. Let's see if I can find this press release. Present, share screen. Okay. Share. Let's go to this. So it's 361. I would say that's a full pullback, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Here it is. So Nixxy signs letter of intent to acquire privately held company in the wholesale gifts business. The preliminary target valuation is $6 million. Swell. The transaction would be executed with a spinoff of Recruiter. The turnover is going to reach 66 million, and it's accretive. Announced today it signed a letter of intent to acquire a privately held wholesale gifts business as part of its ongoing strategy to utilize data to disrupt specific hold line industry sectors. Further details are expected to be released within the next 7 days. 3-year plan, $1 billion. All right, so that's that. Screw it. All right, I'm just going to talk to you. I'm going to stop screened. Okay. And I'm going to furthermore stop this camera. There we go. Perfect. We'll wait for him. Let's see what you're saying over here. Vincent, the world was made for you. Or the world was never made for you. Or the world, you know the song. I'm turning out like Joe Biden. You know the thing. No, did he? Did he or didn't he? No, did he? Just some swings trades and DJT options. I assume swing trades means buy the dip, sell the rip. Everyone talks about swing trades. I have no idea what it means. That's just like spin. I'm going to go to the gym and spin. What the hell? What's spin? Anyway, everything moves past me. This guy, I hate that he died at age 31. I have no idea who he is, but he's front page. I guess he jumped out of his hotel window high on drugs. I have no idea who he is. I'm just clueless. Clueless. Or does it mean it doesn't matter? Now you're getting somewhere. Maybe all that stuff doesn't matter in the long run. Hey, Jean. Hey, all right, Red Pepper Ronnie, I'll ban the idiots. I'll ban idiots, and I'll try to hold my comments in control regarding the world. I know I've gotten so specific and off track, but we've been asked to look at the world in identity politics. Democrats have asked us to do that. And, well, when I look, I don't see anything pretty. All right. Oh, the speaker.
Battery 100%. Connected to Bill's iPhone.
Okay. No?
Here, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
I'd like to congratulate our new investor, listener. I met the gentleman, and he's tuned in, and he's following that ham guy on Twitter, and he bought 8,000 shares today. So we know at least 8,000 shares was purchased by a real investor, and out of this fake volume. I posted, William, on FingerMotion, all the 100 share lots. I sent it to the SEC and said, who sells one share all day long, every day? One share. That's all they keep doing. Anyway,
It's all I got. It's all I got.
I know that. I told everyone this morning, I posted to buy the dip on DJT. It's below 29. It ran to 30 and a half just now, whatever it went to. I told everyone to you bought the dip, sell the rip. I can't make it any more fine-tuned than that. You made between $1.30 to 70 cents. And you got an easy trade for the day. You can turn off your machines and see if it comes in again. But the pattern in DJT is the GameStop pattern. Remember, this was the GameStop pattern. Whenever GameStop went down, the shorts came back and with a vengeance and squeezed it back up. That's what's going on in DJT. GameStop is not the stock anymore. DJT is the place right now. That's where the hedge funds are coming. Whenever the shorts drive it down, the hedge funds are coming in, scooping it up and driving it back the other way. You can see it. It's very clear. Same pattern. All right. You know, again, the way I would do it, you buy it, you flip it, buy some cheap calls, and just forget about it. Just keep piling. I don't care if you get the 30s, 35s. As long as you use your profits. If you made $100, buy $50 worth of calls. I don't care if it's one call, two call. Do the trade 6 times a week. You say, wait a second, I got 50 calls now. And, you know, hopefully this thing goes to 100 and you got the 35 calls, and you're making $65 for free. And, you know, times 50 calls, it's, you know, it's $300,000. Okay. And there's no risk because you're using free money to play the game. But that you got to do this on your own. I'm not going to educate you anymore. I told you that, but I'm not here to do that every day. But hopefully a few people, I know a group of people that have been trading it and thanking me about it. But again, you can see the pattern and you get to understand it and always make money. You just keep chopping away, as we say. You know, guy's down, you know, 100 grand. He's made back 28 of it already. All right. He's got positions in different stocks that are down, including Finger. And he just wanted to chop away. He says, no more investing. I said, well, then chop away. He made back 28,000 out of his 100 in losses that he has. So I told him, he said, how do you feel now? He goes, well, as soon as I get that 100 back, I'll be thrilled. I said, well, just keep doing this. Make 500, 800, 300 in a day. DJT is giving people 3 chances a day to trade it sometimes. All right, but that's something you got to watch. I'm not going to watch it all day. You have to do it. Making one trade is good. Okay, people that are down more money are trying to make it back and other things. That's Wall Street. And if you're fully invested, we have to sit and watch this stuff. I know it sucks, but that's what I'm doing. The same thing as you. I'm fully invested. So again, I'm not chasing other things. I'm watching other things, but I am not chasing them. There was another stock today, NIXX. William had mentioned it. I don't know, I've seen it a couple of times. I heard. I know nothing about it. It squeezed to, I think it was 11. I think I saw it. 11 this morning pre-market. I saw it, but it's been drifting down, and stock only trades 33,000 shares a day, and today it traded 53 million. I don't know how that's possible, but that's what's going on here. The SEC can't seem to spot this, but
they have according to OTC Markets, they have 3.3 million shares outstanding.
So let's say it's 4 million shares.
All right. Well, maybe
Everybody sold it 10 times already. Everybody sold it 10 times already.
Hey, no problem. No problem.
This is the best equity market in the world. It's completely fraudulent.
Oh yeah.
Completely fraudulent. How the SEC doesn't have a stock screener for a volume alert is unbelievable that they don't have that. All the technology they have, they can't figure out how a stock goes from 33,000 shares to 53 million in one day. But that type of volume, the stock should be $300 already.
And Ann Wagner wants to keep the data protected because she doesn't want your privacy penalized.
Yeah, we bought 100 shares of stock. That's what she doesn't want to show anybody.
Yeah. And so the Goldman Sachs lobbyist convinced her this is an issue about privacy rights.
Right. They're worried about your privacy. They're so crooked. William, I brought the attention yesterday that
try to get a loan if you voted for Donald Trump. Just kidding. Go ahead.
No, yesterday there was a Citadel was busted for not inputting all the data on I don't know how many billions of trades options into the CAT system. Another firm did it yesterday. I forgot the name of it. Not a big name that we would know, but some over-the-counter market making. Some guy who's got this. The loophole extension exemption. What the hell's the name?
Right show. Exemption.
No, these guys are selling stock. They're all doing the same thing. They all do the same thing. They can't make any money. Listen, you know how hard it is to make money? It's very difficult to make money every day. That's why I keep telling you to keep chopping away. You chop away to make money, and then you put some of your profit to invest in the companies that you think are going to work. That's the best way to do it. All right? That's the way I've always done it. So, but it's impossible. The deck is so stacked against everyone. I mean, think about it. Let's say NIXX, which I don't know what it is. Let's say whatever news they had was out of this world. The stock squeezes up to 10. People are following the companies. Hey, this news is fantastic. I'm going to buy it. If it pulls back and you run in and say it went to 11, I'm going to buy it at $7.50 or $7 because I really like the company. I missed out buying it at 2. Well, it's now 3.5. What stocks go screaming up to 11 and go all the way back down in a round trip, and it's only 1:30? It's not like it's 3 days later. It's still in the day that it happened.
That is proprietary trading information.
Right.
The Constitution protects the sanctity of data. Yeah, right. Look at your Venmo accounts. Look at your Facebook or YouTube comments.
Right.
Ann Wagner is a hypocrite. Well paid hypocrite. Huh?
I went to her office also.
Yeah, we were there. I
thought she would be a perfect person.
I sat behind the goober Gary Gensler and his slimy networking, and I watched her up front. She seemed all right, but that's the thing. They look like they're on your side, but they're paid for. They're paid for.
Well, listen, that's the way it goes.
What's going to happen is another country, it'll be China, could be Iran, could be Russia, could be India, is going to have an honest market. And money is like water. It seeks its own level. Honest money will move to an honest market like a whirlpool at the end of a bathtub. It'll just go and it'll come out of the U.S. markets, and your children's future, grandchildren's, gone. But the Indian economy, or whoever gets it, as long as they're honest, they get the wealth. And that's what everyone's playing with. But go ahead, Adina Freeman. You got hell of a smile that $2.5 million a month can buy for you.
All right. Well, listen, you are 100% correct. People will stop playing here. You can go to South Korea. You can buy Samsung, all the big companies, electronic companies there. You don't need to play the U.S. equity markets. The U.S. equity markets every Friday is manipulated through the option expiration. Does anyone ever realize that? All the stocks are under control of options on Friday. So basically, you have to worry that if you have a stock like Donald Trump and it's $33, that they're going to short it down to 30s to make your options worthless. That's what the equity markets is about. These guys are using derivatives to manipulate the stocks. They use it without a borrow. They use every rule they're breaking. and that's the U.S. markets. So Monday to Thursday, you got to get your ass out of options because you don't know whether they're going to go up or going to get wiped out. And they're not wiping out options that are 25 cents. They wipe out options that are $6 the day before and go to zero. Think about that. That's how unbelievable the damage is when these guys play.
Yeah.
You know, like Donald Trump was 34 the other day. Those options, the 30s were $5, $6. They're gone. They're worth $1 now. Tomorrow they go to zero, 5 to 0. Not 5 cents, $5. These guys, it's just remarkable how they operate. All right, so we got the big picture. We have FingerMotion. I reached out to the IR guy to try to get the CEO, William, to actually reach out to you and set up a call.
Okay.
And I spoke to big investors. They're all reaching out to the company to get the CEO to call you up so that we can get clarity on the future and what happened with the earnings reports. And this way we'll get it from the horse's mouth. And again, this company is about the future. It's growing. This is what growing looks like. So if anyone thinks that they just, like GameStop's got $5 billion in cash. He can't grow fast enough. He has to hire employees. It just can't happen in 30 seconds. And he's got $5 billion in cash. And he can't get a business going in an hour. He has to get office space, employees, management, a whole network of things they have to do to make things happen. FingerMotion is doing the same thing. The only thing FingerMotion has is that their partner is the Chinese government. And the Chinese government is giving important contracts to a small company that the shorts keep trying to manipulate, but it's not going to change the opinion of the Chinese government. In the U.S., William, if you're a small company and you're doing business with a big company and your stock price goes down, they're going to cancel the contract because they worry about you being a going concern. That's the old naked short trick. They push you down, and then the company calls up and they'll say, William, is your company okay? Your stock just went from 2 to 1. Yeah, we don't know what's going on. And they go like this, William, if the stock goes to 50 cents, we can't depend on you. Can we count on you? And you're going to say, yeah, nothing's changed. Well, in China, they're not paying attention to what's going on in the U.S. equity markets. That's none of their business. They know they're giving the business to FingerMotion. As long as FingerMotion can continue to operate and do the contracts, no one cares what the price is. So the shorts are barking down the wrong tree. That's their mentality, is trying to disrupt the price so the company loses contracts and becomes a debt spiral. But then that's not going to happen with the Chinese government. In the U.S., I agree with them. They should do that all the time. KNW, just call up the Diabetes Association and just tell them that this company's killing people. The shorts would do that. Kill the company. What's the difference? Go to the next one. Go to the next one. It doesn't make a difference. But that's what these guys do. But in China, they don't give a shit if the stock is 1 penny. They'll keep giving them the contracts. Their company's getting the contracts. They fulfill their contracts. And that's how they keep getting more contracts. The more they do with the Chinese government has a lot of moving parts like in the U.S. And the best part about it is that FingerMotion is well positioned. And no matter what direction the government is giving out contracts, FingerMotion seems to be getting them. They went from the top-up business to the text messaging business to apps to recharge your cell phone to selling data. And now installing information platforms and software information in emergency vehicles. It's going to have 10 different avenues soon of revenue. Not just 10. One goes up, one goes down. One's bigger than the next one. And the CEO told you in his press release, William, they were very excited about the data. I forgot what he said. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, William. Can you read from the company's press release, William?
Oh yeah, I'll look it up. I think
By the way,
I think he
Yeah.
said that he's worried about the cost of goods sold. No, I'm just
Yes.
that's what this one guy that always comes on here says. What about the cost of goods sold? I mean, it's data. What?
But then he doesn't listen. The guy, anyone's worried about the cost of goods sold, go back and you'd be homeless because you would have been shorting Amazon back in the day. Amazon lost money on every transaction, every day, zillions of transactions. And we used to all scratch our heads, saying, how could you buy this stock? I remember, I'm going to dig up the picture I have of it. I get $10.93. If I only bought,
I just want to know how I want to know how he snagged such a beautiful woman. I mean, that was difficult. So many men were after her. All right. Simply Wall Street came out with.
I don't care about those. Get out of here, those guys. Get out of here. Listen, people, what would you say? What would you do if you're short 1.4 million, 1.5 million shares of stock and 230 million shares of stock? You pay people to write reports. That's it. That's all they do. I'd be standing outside your office with $10,000 and say, hey, write the worst report you can. Well, the stock didn't go down. Well, they're coming out with earnings. Whatever they say, spin it your way. That's all you can say. Don't show any growth. Don't show anything. I would do the same thing. Someone give me 10,000. I'll go write a report on whatever the fuck you want, and I'll bash it into the ground. And now, what if the SEC knocks on my door and say, fuck you? It's my opinion. It's my opinion. Did you get paid for it? I don't know anything. That's what do you think they're going to say? It's the same thing.
All right. He said, we are encouraged by the continued growth in our cloud business segment. Although our overall gross margin decreased compared to the quarter last year, we saw a positive shift in our product mix with increased revenue from our higher margin cloud services. We are confident in our ability to optimize our product mix and improve our gross margin performance in the future. Going forward, we expect our cloud-based services and command and communications segment to drive significant revenue growth for the balance of this fiscal year, which, by the way, goes into February.
So that doesn't sound like a CEO that's not confident about what he's got going on.
Right.
You know, he's projecting a forward number. It's like Boeing. Boeing sells planes all the time, and then they cancel them all the time. Does anyone ever know that happens with Boeing? It happens all the time. And the company projects that they're going to be stronger. This company says they're going to be stronger, and the shorts sell more down. The company rings the bell, the shorts sell it down. The company has a business, they sell it down. Company is doing software, sell it down. No stocks act like this. Zero. The only stocks that act like this are companies that have got debt spirals. And KNW has a debt spiral, and they're not even selling it down today. FingerMotion has none of that, and they're not selling it down. I told you before, KNW, they're holding it up. Hopefully people buying stock, and then they'll drive it lower. In FingerMotion, they're short already. Their job is to get it down now. That's the difference. KNW, they're trying to rope in buyers. FNGR, they're short already. They need people to sell it. Anything, William? That's your
somebody asked about that article. You already answered that. Your other stocks are all at $2 now.
I know everything's $2 now.
So I guess it's mix and match season in the bargain bin.
I saw GDC coming down on heavy volume. It broke that to something.
Steve says the future may be great, but the Finger earnings report was disappointing. I guess it's in the eye of the beholder. It's in the eye of the beholder. I think it was great. I really do. I think it was great. It gave you the three things it did. It shows that the company can generate low margin, that's true, but it generates enough revenues with maybe a little bit of money coming in to pay their overhead. So they're an ongoing concern. They never have to go to Jeff Lind again. It shows there, number one. Number two, they specifically spoke that the cloud business, which is, it's like an aircraft carrier or an airline business, that if you only fill 20 or 30% of the plane, you're break even. But as you sell the rest of the seats, the profit that flows to the bottom line is massive. That's what cloud computing is. And it shows that that's going to grow. And then the third thing is, like I say, I think this contract with the Chinese government, it's probably the Department of Defense, whatever they call it, Ministry of Defense, for these vehicles and drones. It shows you right there that's going to be a significant growth this year, which ends in February. That's their calendar year. I think it's a great report. And it shows overall, I think, that Martin Shen's observation in interviews with me, private conversations with me, and in interviews with that other that investor advisory firm, I forget the name of it, you can find his interviews. He says that he's going to go earnings positive, he thought, in the third and fourth quarter of his fiscal year. He's on track to do that. I thought it was a great earnings report, but that's...
Listen,
I'm just optimistic.
I put it up before, William. Bashes never bash.
I don't think he's a basher, this guy. I don't think so.
No,
he might be.
No, I'm not saying anybody writing reports is it's a waste of time. People, bashes only, bashes do not bash bad stocks. They bash stocks that got potential. And that's what they're obviously doing here at all costs. They're doing anything they can to try to get this stock down. I would do the same thing. Everyone on this phone call would do the same thing. Would go out and bash the stock. That's all they want to do. That's it. I would do it. If I was short, fuck you. I'd be saying anything to get it down because they're going to go to jail. The clock has run out on these guys. This has been going on for 24 years. And these guys are staying around when the next president of the United States is going to come in and then make short of his stock. And the longer they want to stay in this game, counting down the days, we're at 14, the worse it's going to be for them. They've had their opportunities to cover. Instead, they're standing here like the Statue of Liberty telling you that we're not covering. We're going to keep trying to move it down. That's what they're trying to say. When they get busted, I will make sure everything possible to keep these fuckers in jail for life. Because they're a disgrace. They're worse than the guy on the corner trying to rob you. They continue to rob you, laugh in our face, and think they're going to get away with it. It's not happening. There's a new regime here. Donald Trump's going to get in. Devin Nunes, just read his press releases. They're looking for investigations. They want to lock people up for manipulation.
How often in your experience has an earnings release dramatically moved the price of the stock? Unless on the negative. On the negative it does, but on the...
It does it on Goldman Sachs and UNH and things like that. Yeah. Everyone else, it's a non-event. Yeah. FingerMotion, it's like the world's ending. People think that they're going to come out and say, okay, we just started a small company and we made $1 billion in 2 weeks. That doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Earnings, to me, we don't have research reports anymore. We don't have trading desks. We don't have stock brokers telling their clients to buy the stocks. So you read the reports to see, this is the only thing the company is telling you that is distributed to everybody, and it's true.
Right. That's it. The company, listen, the company will, I sent some powerful shareholders to the company to get the CEO to call you up and set up a meeting so he can get interviewed by you. We can ask questions. That's a company that's being truthful. I told you before, when a CEO does a video, he's putting his face to it. He's not meeting you in an alley telling you to buy a stock. He's going to be putting his face to his comments. And we will ask him, hey, what's the status with the dividend? Hey, what's the status with the truck, the software? What is the cost? What are you making on these things? We'll get those answers. A guy writing a research report can say, the company's not doing well. It's going down. It's going up. What's the big deal? Get out. That's what they're saying. If you don't see that vision, then you got to move to the sidelines. We see the vision of the company going straight up. And we reach out to the company so that we can all see what they're saying in real time at the same time. And a CEO would never come out and do interviews if his company's going in the toilet. They don't say anything. They hide. Because they know if they say anything and they get busted for it and they say the wrong thing, they get in trouble by the SEC. So they'll never say anything. This CEO has been nothing but telling you the truth all the time, and all he does is get attacked. Well, we know who the attacker is, Jeff Houston and his buddies. That's it. And you can see the manipulation. It's just, it's sick that we have to watch it every day. It's just remarkable. And I put up this morning, any investor that was long drug or NIXX, if you didn't sell it, you're a moron.
So just give me a second here, Ham. TR Frisina.
I don't know that symbol.
No, this is a jerk here. Thank you for
I
the.
don't want to hear it. Just remove it. I don't care. Take them out.
I don't want you to talk for a minute. The $10. Thank you. My house went into foreclosure several years ago, and my attorney advised me to go into bankruptcy to protect my house. I lived there for 23 years, and I loved my house, and I had visions of developing my house and living there the rest of my life. I had a short-term cash flow problem. I had no cash, and I turned to someone who agreed to buy my house and develop it with me. I asked for two things. I wanted to stay there long enough to clear out my shit easily. And secondly, the right to buy my house back first before it went on the market. Other than that, she could have all the profits. And she said, no. I said, well, you get the profits first. Name your price. We'll split it 50-50, whatever. You get it first. When it came to the time to wire the money, I had to fly to meet a billionaire, believe it or not, in Madrid on another transaction. Before I left, I called and emailed, make sure are you going to wire the money before the foreclosure? She didn't do it. She did not wire it. She went to California for some reason. And so when I landed in Madrid, I called back to her. I said, did you wire the money? No, I'm doing it this morning. I said, well, that's not going to be good enough. She wired the money after the auction. She was in California. Her bank opened at 9 or 9:30. The auction was here in DC at 11:50 in the morning. So her money came in the afternoon. The house was auctioned, gone. Now, the guy that bought my house, he put $2,000 down and made a contract with the court that he was going to buy my house. He defaulted on that. So the court, the hedge fund who had my mortgage asked the court for a new sale. The court set a new sale. My attorney said, you know what? You should go into bankruptcy. You can halt that sale and we can work this out. We can negotiate. I, like an idiot, went to my same friend. I said, hey, we can do this. The attorney needs $15,000. She said, well, why? I'll do it. Give me a week. I went to my friend at Morgan Stanley and said, she's going to give the money next week. I just need money now to go back into bankruptcy. He said, Haas, get a job. That's my long-term friend. I used to do more business than he. So then so what happened? The following week, she sent the money. The attorney did file, and that's what you see. But what happened was that the when the attorney called the hedge fund's lawyer, the hedge fund lawyer said, "Oh, we already settled on that house last week." I asked my attorney, "When did the money transfer?" "Oh, it hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen next week." I said, "Then they didn't settle. A promise to pay is not settlement. It's not performance." And my attorney got mad at me. So the house sold at the auction price of $1.4 million. The house next door to me had sold for $250,000 more. And during the COVID period, I personally went in and tried to protect my house through bankruptcy and other items, and I filed. So those are the 3 times that you see. And then my house, the guy bought my house at the 1.4. He flipped it for $2 million, and it just sold for over $4 million. So TFRISNIA, you can go screw yourself. I was fighting to keep my house. And if you're charging me with something that's morally wrong, fine. When we go before St. Peter, I'll stand next to you and see whose morality he measures up, yours or mine. And the amount of money you're stealing from people, like all the hedge funds. I feel my house was taken from me. I think the judges, the lawyers, and the hedge fund all in it together, because DC makes more money on higher valuations. That's what I think. But you know what, TRFRISINA, for your courage to put your real name out there, I commend you. For your courage to point out to everyone here, again, that I filed bankruptcy to protect my house, and you're going to protect all these people from me, I commend you. And on the other hand, you can go screw yourself. I'm going to take that $10 and I'm going to go give it to the first bum I see out on the street. Fuck you.
Hey, William.
Yeah, I'm here.
I listen, I don't want you ever to have to explain yourself to anybody. You didn't dial anybody's number. They're calling you up. Fuck them. Fuck Jeff Easton. And fuck the crooks. We went to the SEC. We went to the FBI, the DOJ. Anyone's got a problem, I'll meet you any fucking day with William, and we'll walk in together. So go fuck yourself. And William, do not. You have no obligation to air whatever happened in your
fuck
life.
him. You just talk. I just fuck that guy.
And I keep trying to tell you that, but for some reason you keep bending and listening to these people. The only thing you should say to somebody like that was, "Hey, I fucked your mother. That's it. And you came out. Go fuck yourself. That's it." They're scumbags. Get over it already. These guys are trying to steal your money. That's all they're trying to do, and to undermine you. I don't fucking give a flying shit who they are. And anytime they want to meet, tell them to reach out. I'll be there with my friends. We love to sit down and talk to anybody that's got a problem. Anybody, anytime. So cut the shit out. Block them. Don't read their questions and tell them to go fuck themselves. End the conversation. I don't care if there's 2 fucking people here. It doesn't make a difference to me. We're educating people on fraud. Not about your life or my life. That's none of their fucking business. You don't like it, go somewhere else. That's it. Go someplace else. End the conversation. No one fucking dialed your number. You dialed in. You tuned in. This is not for you. Go someplace else. So do not address these guys again. Anyone writing a fucking research report on a company that's $2.20 is a jerk off and is being paid to do it. We've seen Capybara do it. We've seen this guy do it. We've seen this. They're wasting their breath. The only reason they're doing it is because someone is shorting the stock and they want to cover. End the conversation. There's no one would write this research report. And they can spin it any way they want because I can spin it any way I want, anytime, anywhere. And there are people that do that for a living. Andrew Left, Hindenburg, they all do it. Even Mark Cahodes did it back in the old day with Pat Byrne. They all do it. Look at DeVita, Jim Chanos. It's a fraud. He knocked the stock down $5, people. Dog Victor Apple. He went after them. Jim Chanos. It's a fraud. Stock went down $5. Guess what? People held on. The stock's $168 now. The weak held out, and the longs, the people that stood, we rewarded. Look at stock's $167. Dog Victor Apple, well known. I reported on it. No one else did. I never owned it, but I reported on it that this guy's a scumbag fraud. And it's true. He wound up quitting shorting because he was getting killed everywhere. That's because when you get a real market, these guys can't make any money. It's a fraudulent market. That's how they made their money. That's it. There's nothing else to say. That's what they do. Jeff Easton and his friends.
You know what? My motive is bad. That guy's motive is good. Stick with him.
Stop, William. Stop addressing them. Forget it.
I banned him, but it doesn't matter.
You can't do this anymore. You cannot let these people undermine you. The good people that tune in want to hear what we have to say.
That's true. That's true.
So stop with these people. I told you, just insult them and get rid of them. There it is. Go crawl back. And crawl.
Look, I wanted to, more than anything in my life, I wanted to keep my house. So maybe he hit me where it hurt. I don't know. But it's a low blow. And if you could rely on women to keep their word in a contract, that's how I feel about it. But on her, I wouldn't be going through this, but I did. I see it as my fight. I stood up and I fought. And I did every tool I could to fight. And this dickhead comes on here and impugns my integrity.
Well, listen. You want to bait this guy? There's no reason to even talk to him. Stop. I didn't come here to air your laundry. That's not my business. I'm here for your knowledge about the stock market.
All right, Ham. Why don't you continue talking? I don't need the lecture, but you can continue talking.
I want you to relax and not listen to these people. All right, so I'll just continue. Take a breath. There's no reason to address this anymore. Again, these people mean nothing. These people that are out here doing this stuff, they're here to cause harm. That's all they're trying to do. And they're standing behind, they're the front of a short seller. And the more they torture you, the more I'm going to go after Jeff Easton. I'm going to keep putting up KNW that is going to be delisted and reversed because that's my fucking opinion. And based on the NASDAQ rules, I'm going to post that every day until that fucking company's dead. Because of Jeff Easton stealing all the money from it. Any investor that bought into that company, they're a fucking retard. Jeff Easton's going to rob you, and I'm here to stop people from doing it, getting robbed, whether they like it or not. All right? And after this one, I'm going to alert everybody in GMGI. Same thing. If the SEC doesn't want to protect people, I'm going to do it. But these guys are not stealing their money. And when FingerMotion goes, we're really going to torture them. And that's how I feel. End the conversation. I have nothing to do with any of these companies. KNW, GMGI. I'm here. I'm reading the reports. These guys are lending money still. Still trying to lend money out there and destroy companies. They're still trying to do it. Just 14 days ago, Pat Byrne's coming in, and these guys think they're going to get away. There's not a prayer they're getting away. It's impossible they're getting away. So in 2 more hours, we're down to 13 days. Lucky 13 for Friday. Listen, things turn on a dime. DJT was acting like shit. It went from 12 to 34. NIXX is doing nothing. It went to 12. Drug went to whatever the hell it went to 54. They go in a second. Those are shorts getting murdered. That's what that is. No news, no nothing, and they get murdered. The reason Finger hasn't gone yet because it's 100 times bigger than all the shit you've seen. Imagine being trapped in this stock, and you know that the fuse or the money trail is going right back to people that are stuck here. I told you before, these guys have made mistakes. They got their phone records between Benchmark and them. All these things are going to expose them. They need to get people to come out of this stock and close up these accounts. They can't do it. And the reason they keep putting shit out or saying things is because they need to do that. It's desperation. I told you before, a real short lets the stock go higher. These guys are just continual every day trying to mark it down every day. And they're using every little trick in the book, selling 100 shares, crossing, washing, everything. There's not much more you can do. It doesn't make a difference. The company's going to start from where it starts. And I know people were all hurting. I got it. But we got 13 days to go. Trump wins. I'm in Patrick Byrne's face. He's going to have the book on FingerMotion. We're going to get the CEO to come on with William and tell you and answer all the questions we want to answer. Or that he's allowed to answer. We're asking about the dividend. We're asking about the revenue. We're asking about how the data business is going. Who are the other 20 insurance companies that they brought on board? Why are they all here? Why do they have relationships with 20 insurance companies? What do they want to do with FingerMotion? By phone minutes? What do they want? Oh, they want the data. Oh, okay. The whole insurance industry is based on data. But FingerMotion has it at 1.5 billion, and it gets zero value. Zero value because Jeff Houston and his friends keep trying to sell it and mark it down. And they're just trying to make believe that the company is acting shitty. The company's acting shitty because they keep selling the stock every day. There's nothing else to say about that. We all know what it is. And like I said, the more they do it, the more jail time they're going to get because they're just being total fucking scumbag. Not only did they shoot us, they came back and want to put 2 more bullets in your back. That's what criminals these guys are. They run you over and then they want to back up the truck on top of you, on top of this. That's what kind of criminals these guys are. And they think they're tough guys. They'll be the first guys to go to jail. They'll get their asses beat. But yet they want to sit here and rob anybody. Your mother, your father, your brother, your kids. They don't even care. But we do care. And that's why we're fighting him. And I appreciate everybody's here, but I don't appreciate anybody picking on William. That doesn't go well with me. So
You're a good man. You're a good man.
Well, listen, I'm not a good man. I fucking hate these guys. And they're just one of a bunch. The Kramers were the other bunch. That fight's going to come back into light once the receiver finishes everything he has to do there. There's 500 million shares short there. And they can't. And the best is those guys can't cover there either. And that's going to lead to the Kramers. They're going to lead to Alpine. We're catching them, and the SEC is not closing it out. But the only thing that's going to change is we're getting our people into the SEC now. And the President of the United States, his company's being fucked over by naked short sellers too. And they try to assassinate him. You think you're going to let him get away? These guys have no idea, naked shorts, what's coming down the road. Ken Griffin's name is all over Twitter every day. He's a scumbag. He's a thief. He's a terrorist. This is a guy that's supposed to be the lead guy in the whole equity market that everybody trusts. And he's called nothing but a fucking terrorist every day. You think that's going to keep going on? That guy's going to get shut down. His wings are going to get clipped. The same thing with Virtue, VIRT. That company's a zero. all they can do is steal, sell counterfeit shares and steal. All these banks are filing, they all have derivatives or something, the security sold but not have purchased back yet. Every bank has this on their books, everyone. And all that money is being stolen. Remarkable. But we're not letting them get away. They can keep playing the games. We're not letting them get away. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, they probably do have questions.
Just normal questions. I'm not here to combat with anybody. Anyone that wants to ask a stupid question, come meet me on Twitter. Come talk to me then. I'll handle it.
Hey. I don't see any specific questions.
Anything about the company, we're going to get the CEO to do an interview, something, he's going to come out and answer all the questions. All right. I spoke to big holders. They reached out to him and they said that they'll get him to get to William so William can sit down and do another fireside chat with him wherever he's going to be. So I got people pushing to get that done. And when he pops up, hopefully he can speak and the lawyers are not controlling him.
Hey, Andy bought 1,000 shares of Finger at 205 this morning.
Okay.
And Michael got 2,000 more today.
I got a guy with 8. I went to therapy. I pitched a girl that I was doing therapy on my leg. She's going to tell her husband to buy it. Everyone I talk to, got to own something.
Matthew bought 1,000 at 206.
There you go. I see they isn't it nice.
Jack just bought, wow, this is Jack bought 495 at 202.
Nice.
So
one of our shareholders from Miami has his doctor going to buy the stock today. It was with his doctor. I'm just saying that, listen, I'm not here to push the big funds in here till later on. I'd rather see retail accumulate it. You keep accumulating it. I got it. We can only do so much. I got it. I wish I had money to buy another 100, 200,000 shares. I don't have it. All right. That's just the way it goes. I can't just keep piling in like this. And we're in it already.
So this is a question from Gerald. Would you, Ham, sell the dividend or the stock first? Once it's issued,
you sell the stock, and then you can buy the dividend back, whatever the strike price is, and you get it back. That's it.
Do what?
Sell the stock.
Okay.
You sell the stock. When the stock's going, you sell the stock. Then you come back and you'll exercise the warrant, and you can get the stock back again at a certain price.
But the dividend might be trading.
Yeah, you can sell it. You can do it. Listen, if a dividend like this is going to be, is going to have like a 2-year or 3-year exercise period. So if you think the company is going to be a home run swing, why sell the stock, get your money off the table, and you get a free swing with the dividend? If you want to understand the motive for that, if you want to understand the motive, if you want to understand how that works, just go look at all these deals. For example, KNW just raised $5 million from Benchmark in 2 different tranches, and the parties paid 20 cents, and then they got a special warrant attached to it, and the warrant is exercisable at 25 cents. So you bought stock at 20 cents. You bought stock at 20 cents. They sold it at 25 cents, made a nickel, and now they own free warrants that the company gave them. Exactly with the amount of shares that they got the same amount of warrants. So why would they own the stock? Those guys all dumped the stock, and now they have a free warrant. That's what they all do. That's the new scam on the street. Do everyone understand that? You buy the stock at 20. Let's say you buy 1 million shares at 20. You'll get 1 million warrants attached to it with an exercise price of 25.
Right.
They sell the stock out, and they got the warrants for free. And they go to the next company, and the next company, and the next company.
That's right.
All these people that fund the company, you never see them file that they own a share.
And it's never new money. It's the same.
It's the same money.
Same money going over and over again. So they say they funded $20 billion, but they did it all with 10 million or whatever the hell, you know. I can't make.
It's the same money that they just keep floating around. That's all they're doing. They're actually tightening their own. They don't even give you all the money at the same. They give it to you in tranches. Have you ever seen Goldman Sachs do a deal or Apple do a deal? What did you do? Oh, we raised $200 million today. Oh, we didn't get it in 4 tranches. They got it all at one time. Those are real investors.
Right.
These guys don't do that. They're giving you a crumb. Why? Because they need to sell more shares so they can give you the money because they don't have any money. It's like your bank. If we all went to the bank today and asked for our money, no one would get any because there's no money in the bank. If everyone goes and takes it and goes to enforced stock settlement and there's no shares, guess what? They have to start buying the shares back. That's what they're all deathly afraid of. If the bashes on this company and FingerMotion, they should be throwing a party if they thought they could win. But they can't win. They're trapped. So they're doing everything in their power to try to create volatility. That's why they keep trying to knock it down every day. 2 cents, 3 cents. And they're putting up these big crosses to create volume. They want people to say, oh, the people are buying, people are selling. There's no one selling. You walk away for 10 minutes, it doesn't even trade. It only trades when these guys start crossing stock.
It's not trading. It's just fake entries. It's not really trading. And that's what Ann Wagner wants to hide from you, because she believes the lobbyist that tells her, because she can't think for herself, that this is an important protection on the Constitution of your privacy, to hide the fact that it's a shell game. You could go down on a sidewalk in New York and the guy could move the shells, find the P. Same thing. It's the exact same thing.
Hey, my cousin was good at that.
He would find the P.
He was good at the shell game. He was the 3-card Monte guy. He was the guy that was doing it.
Oh, he did it. No wonder he was good.
I said he was good at it.
I never played.
You let them win a couple of times, then you torture them. That's what they do.
Because they think they're good at it?
Everyone thinks they're good at it. Oh, there it is. Look at the big ball. I can see it.
That's actually good advice and maybe in these squeezes, I don't know, but it's good advice in option trading. If you make a lot of money in option trade, it's not because you're good at it. You timed it right and you did, but stop doing it because you're going to end up giving it all back.
Jeff Easton he made money on every option trade. He's the king.
Oh, he's a hot shot day trading Yahoo.
To cash in that claim to fame, and now he's the #1 money manager in the world. He's up 220%, and everyone else. Jim Chanos, the famous short seller, he quit the game. He can't make any money. But this guy, he's always right, Jeff Easton, in option trading.
Well, that's another interesting point. I never, in my time and since, have ever seen a trading system work year in, year out, and year out, and year out. These guys, all of them, including the big funds, they win every year. They only do that because they're cheating. There's no anything that you figure out and you're making money on it. If somebody else on Wall Street finds it, they go do it as any arbitrage and the gap closes. But with these guys, they keep turning money in on big pools of money because they all cheat. And Jeff Easton is just the front for some big lying fund behind it. And the law firms that represent the SEC and represent the criminals. The whole thing is a cesspool. It's just a cesspool.
But they get squeezed, and you've seen the proof of it. You know, a company like Drug went from $2 to $54.
Well, what do you think about that? drug went, that CNHC, and then that AN some other, and now this one this morning. Do you think this is a sign, one, that there's trouble in general, and two, that the second question is, as the prime brokers feel these stresses, because I assume they are, will it cause additional squeezes or
100%,
buy-ins?
100%. There's small trading guys, short sellers, naked short sellers that are losing their leverage and getting bought in. End the question. That's it.
And there's no money to lend to them anymore.
There's no money. These guys short a couple of million shares, and they get caught, and they have to be bought in, and they get roasted alive.
That's
if you look, these companies are all very small companies, okay? And 3 million shares. So these guys are short 3, 4, 5 million shares. We got someone short 230 million. A little different than short 5 million shares or 8 million shares of stock.
Right.
The volume comes into these names because the algorithms are bumping into new short sellers. It just keeps. That's how this whole thing spins out of control. But the people that are getting the game starts when the one small short seller that's got $10 million in his account, and it just flips on him real quick, and now all of a sudden he's dead. But they lose these fringe players always get eaten alive. And that's what happens. And Jeff Easton has got someone bigger. We're dealing with a bigger player here. And this guy is sitting here on death's door because this paper trail is going straight back.
Where do you think Jeff Easton works? What location?
Someone went to his office. He was nowhere there.
Yeah.
I would put the guy on, but his voice is pretty recognizable. He doesn't want anybody to know who he is.
Why do you think everything goes to $2?
There's got to be some sort of. There's got to be something with it's got to be something that they, the bank, something with.
Margin.
Yeah,
margin. They get under $2, it goes to 100%.
Right.
That could be it. But they're the only volume anyway. It's not going to cause any sell-off.
Everyone bought FingerMotion is buying it with cash.
Yeah.
They keep trying to push it down. I told you what they do. Short sellers push down stocks, real stocks. And so what happens? You need to put up more margin money.
Yeah.
If you don't put up the margin money, they force you to sell it.
Yeah.
So it's self-fulfilling. That's why they do it in IBM, they do it in Apple, they do it in all the stocks. NVIDIA every day. People buy NVIDIA, they're not buying it with cash, they're buying it on margin.
Yeah.
Drop NVIDIA $5 real quick. The guy that just bought 1,000 shares, before he paid for it, has to put up more margin money.
Wow, Northwest Sasquatch bought 10,000 today at 205. If you got a nickel on every trade today, Ham, you'd be able to go take your mother out to dinner, and she'd say, "What do you do for a living?"
First of all, William, I didn't do any commission unless it was north of 6 cents.
All right, 6 cents.
You needed to come through the Golden Gate to get to me. So.
But you got 11% of that, or 50% of that?
I got 65% of it.
Wow. When I did 6 cents, and I did a lot of it, it depended. If I did a lot that month, I was okay. But it depended on the ticket sizes and all that. But I would be as low as 10 or 11% payout.
So I used to get orders from, I was the first guy to open up the orders from the Japanese brokerage firms. I was the research supplier to Nomura, Daiwa, and Yamamichi Securities.
Wow. I went to Nomura once. I went up.
So at Nomura, the Japanese used to buy and sell stocks in 3 parts: 9:30, 12, and at 4 o'clock. So I used to get 5 million shares of something to buy. I would buy 1.3 million on the opening, 1.3 million at 12, and then the balance at 4. They believe that's how.
And you got 6 cents a share on it?
Oh, 5 million shares times 6 cents, yeah.
And you got 65% of that?
And I gave the order to the guy at 9:15 in the morning.
And then what'd you do the rest of the day?
That order was done. I didn't even have to worry about it.
Unbelievable.
And it didn't even make a difference in the prices. They didn't even care. No one even
That's a
looked.
pretty nice
Now,
account.
when I did an account with a big hedge fund that was very active, go buy me 500,000 shares, something that was moving quickly. Trust me, I had to be on the phone to the floor to write it back. You put 35,000 at 35.28. They wanted to know every tick. The Japanese were the best clients I've had.
So did you have the Japanese client before they took your Maserati from you, or after your Ferrari?
Oh, no, that was my ex-wife.
Your ex-wife. Oh God.
But yes, I had all those clients. Yes, I had a very sophisticated, good clients. I was just trying to show you how people put orders in different ways.
Well, my clients, I didn't have that kind of client, but I had clients that would do that. They put orders in on the opening, and then a couple of times during the day, and then at the close. And all he was trying to do was get a reasonable average of the daily price.
I'm like looking at them saying, instead of working it all day, they just, sometimes they used to trade a lot of Motorola. I was a big action Motorola, because that was their thing. And Motorola, they used to buy 10 million shares. But that was a tremendous trades on that one. When they moved in and out, I remember, buying it. Let's say I bought it at $7. And Motorola run to 11. All of a sudden, that order that came in that we bought, and comes back out as a seller a month later. We get the same order, sell it now. I mean, we could see them making $6, $4, $5, on a couple of million shares. We sit there and say, wait a second, I just bought this stock at 5 and selling it at 9. We used to scratch our head because the order was so big. All
I know is you might have done all that, but see where you are today.
Hey, listen, I'm okay. Listen, money's not going to change your life when you get older. All right.
No, I know.
Doing something that I feel that I can leave this planet with, knowing that I did something to save my family, my kids, and my grandkids. That's what I'm trying to do.
I know.
I'm not a $100 million guy. I've had a lot of money. You lose it, you make it, you spent it. If I had $10 million in my pocket today, I couldn't even spend it. I'd rather be home with the dogs, my family, than running around jets. I'm not going out disco dancing. I'm not doing anything. So again, the guys that are younger, you need to fight, because this fight, if we don't win, you're never gonna make it. I know you guys want to try it. For the gentleman that just bought 10,000 or 400 shares, whatever, you want to make money with these things so that you can change your life. You're not here to be a social gambler. If you're doing that, go play roulette. You're here because you got the information and you feel you're doing the right thing. It's important, because if we don't break these guys, Pat Byrne, Donald Trump doesn't get in here, this crime will continue. I've been fighting it for 24 years. Companies like K&W, they're a dime a dozen. They all got wiped out. They all get killed. And they don't care. The people that wiped it out, they could care less. Those are all the people you meet in a bar. What do you do? I'm a hedge fund from Wall Street. They don't make any money. They all do the same thing. I just showed you Ken Griffin bought a house in Chicago. He sold, he lost half his money. This guy is the best trader in the world. Who's his real estate broker? I don't think I've ever seen anybody lose 50% on an apartment in 2 years. Right? What does it have? No roof on it? What are you kidding me? That's a prearranged trade, William.
Yeah, and that's probably something Ann Wagner should look into, but she doesn't care.
He bought the apartment, let's say for $200 million. He sells it for $100, whatever the numbers were. The guy who owned it, he owed him money. He buys the apartment. The guy makes $10 million. Then he dumps it back out. He doesn't even care. He paid off $10 million to kill us. That's a way to give someone $10 million and no one even understand why. Because that's the most moronic trade I've ever seen. Here's the guy, he's the best trader in the world. Never loses. He buys one piece of real estate, he loses 50%.
But if you question the results of an election, you're going to jail. Ken Griffin, hey, this is an upstanding citizen.
How does he lose half his money in a real estate transaction? He's got more money than God. He can hold on to that property.
He got divorced? Oh, no.
until someone bids for it, right?
Yeah.
But he's like us now. We have to sell our property so we can buy another place to live in. This guy's selling his property to lose 50% of his money because what? He wanted to get $10 million back in his bank account.
Code Red, do you think we see a squeeze on Finger this year?
Listen, it could happen in 1 minute. Do you see how these things take off? They just go. Listen, the Department of Justice is all over Wall Street. Andrew Left is giving up people. The Anson Fund is giving up people. It takes time. One subpoena, one little tidbit, one movement by the government, and this thing is over within a second. 1 second, that's all it takes. And that's why when I say it, you got to be in it to win it, because I don't know the second it's going to happen. The company could come out and say that CEO's got diarrhea and the stock just take off. You see some of the news events. GDC went up because it opened up a TikTok account. That was the news that made GDC go from $2 to $12. They opened up a TikTok account. I think that was a TikTok account. Was that KNIX, whoever that is, or NIXX today? What did they say? They're going to buy a company, and they want to buy a good company. What the hell does that mean? That made the stock go up? FingerMotion to come out and say, hey, we're going to buy a company, we're going to buy a good company. That's going to make the stock go up? You don't know what makes it go up. I don't know. Somebody's upside down. A small player's upside down. Someone who went broke, who doesn't have the money to meet margin anymore, and that's how they take off. That's how it works.
The delay on the dividend is perplexing.
We'll find out in a few days what it is. I personally think that the SEC, there's no problem there. I think it has something to do with that auditor. They needed to change the auditor for the clients, and now they had their earnings come out, so the auditor had to get up to speed on the audit for the accounting, right?
Right.
That's out now, and I expect the logjam of shit to come out now.
So you guys, drug is now down $7 today. That just shows that when these things go, what Ham always says, the easy money's in the first trade after you've been waiting so long it's up. That's the easy money. Then the pros come in. But the other thing it shows, don't hang around too long.
Well, listen, if you know the stock, I can't tell you not to hang around. If you know what's going on.
Well, if you know
when
it,
the stock
yeah.
Goes from two, the stock goes to 2 to 50. If you're not making a sale, then you're an idiot.
Right. At least get your money off the table quickly. Right. At least do that.
If you sold half of it at 4, you have a free shot for the balance, right?
Right.
You paid 2, you sell half of it at 4, you got 100% of your money off the table. Then you go and you got a free shot. If you want to let it go up to 50 and back to 0, that's your business. But at least you got your money off the table.
So
do that.
DJT's under 30. Do you think that's a dip to buy?
As far as day trading, no. You got to take a nice listen. Whenever they smack it down too quick, that's the dip. If they had it down to 28, they had it down from 31 close to 28.50 or 60. That's when I posted to buy it.
So this isn't enough today. It was as high as 31 something. Now it's 29.90. That's not enough of a dip.
No, I say that once they squish it right down to 28.5 and it really looks ugly.
Yeah.
That's when whenever it looks ugly, that's when it turns. And what did it do? Got to 28.50, 60, 70. I posted, hey, it's the time to buy it. If you're into it, boom, back up to 29.30, you sell it, and then you have.
Well, so how do you know when it looks ugly?
Oh, you'll know. Say, man, that stock looks ugly. That's what you're going to say. FingerMotion, what did we say? It looks ugly every day. We're the first to say it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, it looks ugly again today. Who's selling it today? It looks ugly today. We know people are buying it. You just did a little roll call, a few people. I have people that are buying it. So we know we have buyers. Who's selling it every day? It's the same characters. They're just trying to push it down because they can't handle the margin money. I told you, 245 is now 240. Every day that goes on, this guy loses money. I'm calculating for the week, and next week I won't drop it again. But 240 That's the most he can make. 240. After another week or so, it's going to be 230. Who stays short a stock that you can only make $2.30 in it, and you got to pay for that, right, every day? That tells you, A, the real short is a fraud, 100%. He's only playing off the naked short. That means they're tied together. So it's either Jeff Easton and Phil, or Phil's mother, or Jeff Easton. Somebody's mother is the short on the real short, and these guys are the naked short. And they're calling the shots, saying, don't cover it yet, we'll cross it to you. And that's what I think we're going to see in the next report on the 24th, is that the real short number is going to drop. And it has dropped 240,000 recently, right?
Right.
Because we said, how does the real short cover? When real shorts cover, stocks go up. We have the only stock that a short is covering, and it goes down a nickel. How's that happening? And there is no selling. So what happens is they just put it to a price, and they cross a piece, and that's how they wash it.
All right. So Kid is talking about a stock, Nancy, UZE, up, I guess, 700%, 250 million shares with 5 million outstanding.
What's the symbol on it?
News, NUZE. I don't know. I didn't check before I read it out to you. I mean,
yeah, that's the one. It had a high of 6 or something like that before, or something like that. 250 million shares traded. That is unbelievable.
Hey, that doesn't bother Ann Wagner. You got to protect the sanctity of that information for Goldman Sachs. They halted trading.
Unbelievable. Wow.
And
what was it?
And according to Kit.
Wait a second. It opened at 48 cents.
Yeah. So what was the close yesterday?
I don't know, but it opened at 40 cents.
The 52-week range, 25 to 8. But it only has 5 million shares. I don't know what the hell is Ann Wagner thinking. She doesn't think. She just reads memos.
That is phenomenal. Wow. Well, thank you very much for the post on that. I appreciate it. That's why I keep trying to tell you. I don't know them all. They just pop when they go. And believe me, I wish that you were all in that stock and it went, you owned it at 50 cents and it went to 2 and you could cash out and take your kids on vacation. Trust me, I wish you could do it. But again, I've been documenting the criminals for a long time. I think that this is going to be a life-changing event. And I think that people that, like the gentleman who bought it at 204, 205, he bought 10,000 shares. I hope he sells it at $300. It makes 298,000 on his 10,000. 20 to buy, make 300,000. I pray and hope that happens every day. I hope Jeff Easton gets thrown in a fucking cell on Rikers Island, gets his ass beat every day.
He might like it.
Because he deserves it for laughing in people's faces. Just look at Bernie Madoff. He did the same thing. He didn't care. Look at the guy from FTX. They didn't care. They just steal the money. They just don't even care. They're stone faces. I mean, they ruin people's lives. And the government allows it to go on. That's the sickest thing I've ever seen. It's like New York City now. These people running around, killing people, punching people, fighting people, doing everything, robbing people. The police get them, pull them in, and let them go. It's the same thing. It's got to change. It has to change. Society cannot be like this anymore. We can't have the inmates running the asylum.
Hey, it's only a couple of apartment complexes. Don't worry about it.
Someplace else, they said it's in Texas now.
Oh, God. He said, do you listen to what you're saying? What a great response.
Me?
No, that was J.D. Vance said to that chick that was interviewing.
Right.
She said, oh, come on, it's just a few apartment complexes. Yeah. And he said, are you listening to what you're saying?
I would have sent them to our house. I would have said, here you go. These are your neighbors now. Anyway, William, listen, my knee is sore. I have to go put ice on it. I'm sorry. I just came out of therapy and they beat it up pretty good, and it's giving me a tough time right now. But I got some sharp pains coming out of my kneecap, so I just got to go put ice on it. But everyone, again, I thank you for listening. And William, please don't let anybody get upset with you. This is not the. If they want to get on the anger line, we can always open that up. All right. We can always meet in Midtown if the people that are angry want to start.
I'm the one that was angry. He was just being a dick. I'm the one that got
anyway,
angry.
but just calm down. Listen, you're more valuable to us alive than listening to this guy get you upset about anything. That's all he's trying to do.
Yeah.
That's a Jeff Easton messenger trying to say, hey, William's having a tough time. William lost his home over what? Over this. You don't need to.
I didn't have the strategy of stealing for 20 years from the Wall Street marketplace.
Right. We needed that strategy. Listen, I tell the DOJ every day, can we do this? This sounds like so much more fun than what we're doing.
Why did that guy that married the Mexican supermodel? Oh God, what's his name? The cocaine guy. Why did he go into cocaine? He should have done opened an office on Broad Street and worked with Jeff Easton.
If they make more money doing that, and they'd be a hero.
Yeah.
Why would you want to have anybody put you in jail over this? They drag you out in jail. You do nothing. Just sell stocks all day. Anyway, listen, I have to run away.
All right.
Bother me.
Okay.
I apologize, but thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Ham. Thank you.
Call ended.
All right. I apologize to everyone. To this day, I don't really understand what happened. But ultimately, I don't want to blame anybody else. I just think that she didn't see, I don't know what. It was so much money to be made. And it was just laying right there. But that guy comes in and makes fun of me. But, Jimmy Carter declared bankruptcy. Larry King declared bankruptcy. Donald Trump declared bankruptcy. I think this guy is morally bankrupt. But, it's tools. And it's what lawyers use. It didn't work in my case because, I don't know. Women basically, guys out there, whatever they say, women can't understand if you don't have money, if you don't have cash. If you don't have cash, there's something wrong with you. If you do have cash and you're in a relationship with her, it belongs to her. It's just how it is. I don't know. But that bias means she threw away, if we split it 50-50, she would have made over $1 million profit. I told her that. But anyway, having said that, I would have rather kept my house. So it's not just a financial decision. It's more emotional. And, by the time I forget what number, 18 or 20, I had lived in, I can't remember, 22 places in my life. And then as I worked, I didn't, basically until I bought my house, I had never lived anywhere more than 2 years. And I didn't want to lose it. So I did everything I could. It was confusing. And as I look back on it, I think it's a rigged game just because it's hedge funds that lend the money to these developers, and then people lose their homes. They get the money at next to nothing, which is lent to them from the Treasury, next to nothing. And Obama did nothing Zero. He came in, apparently, according to Candace Owens, Obama may have been born in Kenya. It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters where you're born. Maybe it does. But John McCain was born in Panama. I don't know if it actually matters where you were born, but there's enough interest in that he might have been born there. But then he grew up in Indonesia. His mother is white. He never met really or lived with his father, who's from Africa, not from America. And then he went to high school, maybe junior high, but high school at a privileged private school called, if I pronounce it correctly, Punabo. Anyway, I have a friend whose children went there in Hawaii, and very extremely expensive, very privileged, elite would be the word. And he was raised by white grandparents, wealth. But he comes out and he's a brother because his skin is darker. This is a bastardization, number one, of what Martin Luther King talked about, what I grew up. Don't judge anybody by these things. But the Democrats, my party, flip it, and that's the only way to judge. It's all crap, by the way. It's all crap. It's all crap. If you want to see evil and how men treated men, and I'm not trying to make it that it's worse than what happened with Africans, and then they became slaves here. Just look at how the British treated the Irish, and in many ways still do. But back when they did, just look at it. It's white skin on white skin. Look how Hitler treated the Jews and Catholics and gypsies, white skin on white skin. It's not the skin color. It's the fact that human beings, for some reason, have inside of them the capability to do good and the capacity to harbor great evil. And anyway, but if you want to listen to the Democratic Party, you've got to elect a woman whose father is Indian and Irish, and whose father's family were slavers, slave dealers. They sold human flesh. And they made $13 million, if I remember what Candace Owens said, when the Queen or the King, the England outlawed slavery. They were paid $13 million when that was a lot of money. Kamala's mother got pregnant when she was a student from India. A caste system, caste. Apparently, back then, I don't know if it's now, Indians didn't marry Afrikaans. So, and she came from a high caste. She was sent abroad for education. And then Kamala, whatever you call her, she made this outrageous lie that she integrated the schools. She was the second year of integrating schools in California. California didn't segregate schools at that time. California was ahead of the United States by 10 years. 10 years before Kamala was born. And on top of that, Kamala went to school in Canada, in white enclave, wealthy enclave. She's no more middle class. Well, I guess middle class is a broad range. Apparently she got married in Canada, but you don't know about it. It's all been scrubbed. And then she had, according to Judge Brown, a reputation of, how do I put it politely, lifting her skirt. Now she wears pants to get herself ahead. And she, according to Judge Brown, she was a lazy, inadequate attorney, prosecutor. But then she got hit gold. She committed adultery by dating a married man, Willie Brown. And then she got state jobs. She didn't do any work. And then all of a sudden she found herself as the prosecutor. And then she threw her hat in and got whatever. I guess she was attorney general. Then she ran for, skipping a few years, she ran for president. She didn't get one vote. She's the first to drop out. But then Biden, the next time, Biden didn't win, 3 times prior? Anyway, when he sat next to Obama and they were debating, and the moderator asked a question on national TV, and Obama, I guess, had his just spaced. Maybe he had some sort of aftermath of, maybe he was smoking pot or something. And he had no idea what the question was. And Biden apparently leaned over and said, I don't remember, but he said abortion. And so then Obama just went into his smooth talking answer on abortion. So Obama remembered that. And when Hillary Clinton turned down vice presidency and took state so she could sell governments, the access to the government to foreign governments, hey, but that's all right. She's a woman. It's the patriarchy. But anyway, Obama remembered that Biden had done that favor. He picked Biden. And so then we get this guy Biden. And he ran against Kamala. Kamala dropped out first. Bernie Sanders was, again, filling the stadiums, filling the coffers. And it looked like Bernie was going to win New Hampshire. So what they did is they moved South Carolina up ahead of New Hampshire, or just after New Hampshire. The point is, as Bernie was building momentum and it was going to go to more liberal states, they moved South Carolina up because it's more conservative. For the Democrats, an enormous black vote. Bernie went down, and I watched some of the videos. He had no connection with black voters. I personally think it partly comes, they didn't know him, but he's a white Jew, and they're African-American from the North. No connection at all. So that's why they chose South Carolina. And then Representative Clyburn said to Biden, if you want the nomination, and Biden wasn't doing great, if you want the win here and you want the nomination, I want you to, it was a demand. And it's all based on color and sex. It's identity politics. Just what Martin Luther King said don't do. Just what Bobby Kennedy said don't do. The Democrats do. And it's all because they care about you. So Clyburn said, black female president. Well, there wasn't a candidate. There's this Asian Indian woman that ran for president, but she wasn't black. All of a sudden she's black. And then Donald Trump points this out and he gets harangued off the stage. But she's not black. She's not black in more ways than one. To be black or to be Italian or to be Jewish or to be Catholic or Irish, whatever the hell, it's not just in the lineage, which that's part of it, of course. It's the culture you grow up in. It's how you grow up. What was the culture? A simple example is if a child is born of a family here where the father is British and the mother is American and they live here, the child grows up American. If that same family instead chose to grow up in London, the child grows up British. It's not hard to understand. Kamala isn't black. She doesn't care. Joe Biden is racist, and no one cares. He's misogynistic. No one cares. He's corrupt. No one cares because he's a Democrat. This is really it's feel-good thinking. Oh, I check the box, I'm a Democrat. Therefore, I'm not racist. I'm not misogynistic. I'm for everybody. It's ridiculous. But that's how people think. Or not think. They don't think, they feel. So the other thing Clyburn said was, what a black female Supreme Court justice. Is that how you choose people? Nobody remembers when they put Clarence Thomas on, and everyone got upset with George H.W. Bush that he intentionally picked a black man, and that they got all upset. The Democrats got, well, here Clyburn said black female on the Supreme Court. So we ended up with this woman who is as qualified as a tomato to be a Supreme Court justice. But we got her. So Biden won South Carolina. He made those promises. To judge human beings by the color of their skin, to judge human beings by their gender. Joe Biden made that decision. This is a man who said he didn't want his children to go to high school in a jungle. This is a man who proudly claims to have written the crime bill that put 2 or 3 generations of black men in prison, destroying the lives of black women and black children and families. For 3 strikes you're out smoking pot or whatever those pipes are, crap that Hunter Biden does. His own son does. But hey, he appointed. He used racial identity, gender identity, and appointed someone, and he must be wonderful. Donald Trump, it's out there. You can find it on YouTube if you know how to search. I don't remember how to search, but Donald Trump paid off a woman's $400,000 mortgage without asking for credit. She was African American. He paid off an African American man. I forget the situation. Same thing. Paid off that guy's mortgage. And the guy's out there saying, hey, he did it. He never asked for credit. But he's a racist. Look what he did with the 5 in the Central Park. People, I don't know what to say about that. I vaguely remember it. I remember that Hillary Clinton got enmeshed in that. Hillary Clinton worked for Barry Goldwater. Hillary Clinton, according to the White House chef that wrote a book, used the N-word freely in the White House. The N-word. That's Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton executed an African American who was mentally the age of a I don't know, 8-year-old. just to show he was tough. Hillary Clinton got a man who raped a young woman off and laughed about it because she knew he was guilty, and she stands for female rights. Hillary Clinton idiotically took down Gaddafi. We came, we saw, he died. She left that country. Whatever you can say about Gaddafi, he ran a fair country. Now, he was a dictator and his sons were rich and maybe he did some things. But when she got done with him and they rammed a rifle up his posterior, they now have women in slavery, children in slavery, sold for sex, and Hillary's proud of herself. But you want to keep voting for her because she's a woman and it's women, and this is ridiculous. Hillary Clinton has changed. When Obama became president here in DC, I'm talking about my own eyes, people around here stood taller, squared their shoulders, talked back a bit, ignored racial relations here, became great. There was a sense that things had changed. Hillary Clinton loses, it's all about misogyny and white men and Russia and this and divide and conquer. It's all Roy Cohn and that Jewish guy, Saul Alinsky. She's toxic. She's poisonous. But hey, she's a woman and it's the Democratic Party and we got to vote for her. Well, anyway, so Clyburn gets Biden elected, and then the DNC surrounds him, and he picks Kamala Harris as his black woman. She's not black. She's not black. And now we have her. She picks, Biden picked, some people believe, picked Kamala Harris as protection from the 24th or 25th Amendment, whichever amendment that Nixon put in, you can kick out the president, because she was so stupid. She's an airhead. She knows nothing about economics, nothing about war. I doubt she knows where Moscow is. Oh, Moscow, Indiana, maybe. And her sexual wares will not, the thing she does know how to use her women's wiles, no one cares anymore. She's 60. So I don't know what you're buying. That's why she talks like that. It's all nonsense. Because it works when you're young and pretty and the guy wants to lay you. It doesn't work later on. You can be lazy when you're young and beautiful. The guy's going to ignore all that anyway. But later on. So anyway, we now face the situation where Kamala has that same risk. So she picks an idiot named Walz. Complete idiot. But look what Kamala did. She married a white man and she picked a white man. And now she gets that upset at me and black men if they don't vote for her. She chose white men twice. And she got helped ahead by a white man, Joe Biden. I don't know, guys. She is a falsity. You can say a lot of things about Donald Trump, but he is who he is. He's authentic. I don't think his policy proposals are perfect. Anyway, to answer the question, I don't think Trump is going to be our next president. As Stalin says, As Mark Twain said, if voting mattered, they wouldn't let you do it. Stalin said, it doesn't matter the votes. What matters is who counts the votes. And I think that's what's going to happen. You're going to get ready for Kamala Harris. Get ready to be lectured to. I'm not finished. Preachy. I don't know. It's just a sad ending of our country. Hey, well, you know me. The wolf in sheep's clothing. Absolument bon après-midi. Alors, ne discute pas tout le temps. I've got 25. Wow, Andy. Wow, Andy. Okay, that guy that came here was making fun of logic. I want to call your attention to something. It depends on when you bought logic, of course. But this Nixxy is a spinoff from logic. Let's see how it worked. Well, I guess technically, Logic spun off 1-for-1 Livw. Livw became GoLogic. And then GoLogic entered into an agreement with Recruiter.com and gave their technology. So I guess technically it's not really a spinoff. It's just related. You would have had to put more money into this. So I guess he's right. This wouldn't have helped you if you bought Logic. But I don't remember the arithmetic. But the CAUD is going up, and that was a distribution. I just can't remember the ratios. But I wouldn't be surprised if net, not that Logic's a great winner, but when you combine Logic to CAUD, even with all the disaster in CAUD, because remember, we couldn't sell 80%. We couldn't sell 88%. Anyway, I can't remember. But we still have that collective audience. So when you add that in, I'm not sure Logic is a disaster in the sense that guy was poking fun. But it's nobody's made money on it yet. That's for sure. But I think Logic is something to watch out for now. No one wants to hear it. 2 cents. I think you can double, triple, quadruple, 5x your money in a trade, but no one wants to think about it. Yeah, Ham did call it. Oh, he called in just now? No, he didn't. He didn't call in just now. He did call in before. I sold ZJYL, bought GDC at 5. I'm hoping it'll run before ZJYL and Finger. I think Finger is kind of like Logic. Don't say that. But in my mind, I think Finger can double or triple before the end of the year. I don't share Ham's view that Finger could squeeze any time, although it could. I've said to you before, I trust Ham's judgment on something he's watched and knows intimately and sees the trading patterns. I trust that. But for me, what I think Finger is going to do is go up. I think it's going to go up. You're paying $2. I think it'd go to 3, 4, 5, 6. But it's going to need that jolt. There will be a jolt at some point. It could be a research report. It could be massive new buying from Making It Up Roth Capital's clients. That could do it. The other jolt could be another fantastic contract. But it doesn't matter. The contract doesn't matter. If they announced a contract, you wouldn't understand it. You'd go, oh, oh, that doesn't mean anything. The stock didn't go up. I'm not making fun. I'm not making fun. It's a human belief, and it's the training you've been given from the random walk down Wall Street, that the stock price tells you everything you need to know. Hogwash. Otherwise, Warren Buffett wouldn't be rich. The price of FingerMotion, maybe, I could make an argument, and I'll make it for you. I can make an argument $100 million market cap is a reasonable valuation for Finger right now. I can make that argument. Right now, as a moment in time. Story is complicated. It's China. Revenues seem to be growing, but they also have some unpredictability to them. The companies break even. Their main revenue source is low margin, and all the other stuff is unproven. So maybe $100 million market cap makes sense. Now, what's past is past, and so I won't go through it, but I could make a long disquisition on how, if the interference from Jeff Lind had not happened, the stock would be much higher. There'd be fewer shares. They could have used shares as currency to acquire assets, and everything would have been sped up. But that's all in the past. Going right now, you can make an argument that it's worth $2. But that's just one argument. A reasonable person could make. There's other stocks out there to buy. And they say, well, okay, that's that. But since you know about Finger, and I trust Ham's judgment, I'm telling you, you know two things about Finger. You know the fundamental story, and although Ann Wagner doesn't think it's important for you to know, you have a sense that there may be a massive naked short position in Finger. Now, the guy from the American Stock Exchanges says, oh, you can't believe Ham. There's systems in place, but you can't trust those numbers because those numbers don't include the private placements. Those numbers don't include when they buy back the shares. This is a guy who spent his life doing the work inside of an honest organization, and he's an honest guy and he's a smart guy, but he can't believe that Wall Street is been destroyed by corruption. He can't believe it. What did you live your life for? Well, it's funny. I saw it at Harrods in London. I'd always go through the Egyptian stairs, and I saw it there, and it's just struck me, Ozymandias by Shelley. And it's basically this explorer goes through this desert, and he sees these two enormous legs sitting on a throne, and the rest of the body's gone. And there's a poem, and it says, there's a statement, and it says, look ye on my worlds and my power and all that I have, and weep. I am Ozymandias, the most powerful, greatest of them all. Of course, Shelley wrote it, and it was written much better than what I just said. But even that guy, with time, all of his works, all of his excellence, everything, every girl he screwed, every child he had, every dream he achieved, everything he acquired becomes meaningless with time. It's just drifts away. Marlon Brando said, I wish I had been an artist, a painter, instead of a movie star, because then people remember you forever. That made no sense. But how many of you really know who, young people, how many of you really know who Marlon Brando is, or how good of an actor he was? But you know Leonardo da Vinci. But if a volcano destroyed the Louvre, that's a stupid example, but if a bomb destroyed the Louvre and the other museums around the world, no one would remember Leonardo da Vinci either. Think of all the ancient wisdom that the Catholics, the Spanish Catholics, when they invaded, there were 12 of them on white horses, and the Mexican, were they Aztecs or were they, I forget what tribe, but the Mexicans, they just melted away. And the Spaniards burned all of the paper history. They burned it all. Imagine what we lost. The point is, nobody remembers. Everything we do is fleeting. And it only makes sense right in the people that know us now. It's all fleeting here on this planet. Anyway, I've totally lost my sense on logic. I started out with logic and ended up there. Can't remember why. But I don't think logic's run is over. Oh, I was talking about Finger and comparing it to logic. I think the two things you have with Finger is this massive short position, and we don't know for sure. We don't know for sure. You can choose to believe it's not there, and you might be right. I am skeptical of it in this sense only. What ignites it? They seem to have everything under control. Everything's under control. GME, AMC. They bribe people in other place. But it's still there. So you know that. And for me, where FingerMotion is priced right now, that's a cherry on top. You just set it aside. You look at the fundamental story, which you know, most new people do not know. The fundamental story is working. Now, this gentleman here says that the earnings report was disappointing. He doesn't know why he's saying that. He also is assuming that if the earnings had come in instead of minus 3 cents a share, maybe if they'd come in at positive 3 cents a share, the stock would be up. Well, then he's not thinking about what's really going on. If the revenues had come in double what they were, do you think the stock would be up? No, it wouldn't. There's no big buying anywhere other than us, other than we. So I don't think he's right. I'm not going to correct him because he's probably got more experience than I do. But I don't think he's right to judge the earnings report on earnings or on cash flow or on revenue. All those are important. They didn't collapse. They don't show signs of trouble, but they're not exciting yet. I think that earnings report shows that the company's model of basically hitting a bunt, taking a walk, and maybe the occasional single keeps the team in the game. And when the Bambino of the rescue vehicles, the so-called C2, comes to bat and the bases are loaded, points to the stands and swings, all of a sudden you might have the bombers. And that's what I see with Finger. I think what's going to make Finger move beyond, and that's why I brought up logic. I don't know why I got distracted on the meaninglessness of our existence. So just forgive me that. Is that Jean-Paul Sartre? Was that his point of view? I think logic can double, triple, quadruple. I think that's what Finger can do. It could happen this year. But I think the magic's going to come in Finger either in their third quarter or in their fourth quarter when they cross to positive earnings. So they have growing revenue, they have cash flow, and the revenue doesn't necessarily have to grow by much. It can change from 3% margin to 40%, 50% margin, and that drops down to cash flow and earnings dramatically. When that happens, and it could be this next quarterly report or the following, I think that's game over for the boo birds. I think the stock will find a new level. If you can see with FingerMotion, let's just make it up. Let's say by the their fourth quarter, which ends in February, it's 2025. Let's say they can forward project. You can, because you've seen it in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. And let's say you can forward project 100 million in revenues. And you can also see that that's growing. So you can project 100 million in 2026, and you can see that growing to, I'll make it up, 500 million over the next 3 years. But on that 100 million, the margin, if you can see it, and I think you will, the margin goes from essentially break even to 50% profit. And using my example, let's say that's 50 million in profit for the next year. That's $1 a share. What multiple do you put on that? 1? Well, then the stock's worth 1. But what's that stock everyone loves? Nvidia is 40 times earnings. Well, it's a little different. Nvidia is growing at that rate. Well, that's why I bring up, if you see the revenue and then just start with revenue, and we don't know this now, but if you see revenue, you can project revenue growing from 100 to 500 million over the next 3 years. I'm too much of an idiot to do that arithmetic in my head, but that would be 5x over 3 years. I don't know how to do that in my head. But call it 30% a year. It's growing. Call it 25% a year. It's growing. And compounding. That's the part I can't do in my head, that compounding part. So let's just call it that revenues are growing 25% per year. Well, half of that is earnings. So earnings are also growing 25% per year. And the projections are believable, they're predictable, they're repeatable, and they're growing. Well, now what's that $1 worth in the fourth quarter or in the first quarter of that next year? 1 for 1? Or does it trade like Nvidia? The PE ratio could be as high as it becomes a growth company. The PE ratio could be 25 to 1. Could be higher. Nvidia is higher, but it could be 25 to 1. So the stock gets revalued, and in my example, all of a sudden it's a $25 stock. I'm making all these numbers up, but that can happen very quickly. And when it's a $25 stock, what happens? What happens? It gets on and by the way, this happens at $7 and $10, but in this example, at $25, it's on the list of every institutional desk who invests in Southeast Asia and China. It's on every telecommunications institutional desk. It's on every desk that invests in big data. It's on every desk that invests in defense and government contract companies. It's on institutional desks. What do institutions have that we don't have? Research. They have research covering it. And all of a sudden, these institutions, what do they attract? Brokers, wealth advisors. They attract institutional and brokerage houses want to cover the institution, and the institution says, "Do you have research on insurance reinsurers in China?" "Oh, yeah, we do. Let me call you back." Click. "Hey, I could get Kaufman Brothers pension account if we just have research on Chinese big data / insurance companies. Do we?" "Well, yeah, we could give that to Lillian. Lillian covers domestic insurance and data, and she covers snow. Why don't we get Lillian on that? That'd be great." So Lillian calls Finger, gets the information, and Lillian writes a report. All of a sudden, 20,000 brokers have access to Lillian's report, and institutions. The stock's not going down from that $25 at that point. Then what happens? These family offices and the broker dealers that want to service the institutions, what happens? Magically, investment banking. All of this stuff still exists way up at the bigger prices. It just doesn't exist down in the over-the-counter or NASDAQ markets, because this is where the criminals feed, and they pay off Adina Friedman. They pay off Ann Wagner. They pay off Gary Gensler. They pay off Robert Cook. But it happens up there. And so then you get banking coming in, and banking will call, they'll soft circle. First, they talk to the company. We believe we can raise $1 billion for you, and we'd like to match you with our portfolio company in India who has the same process, but they haven't really figured out how to make it hum. So we see synergies. We see synergies to merging the management teams, and we'd like to propose that and raise $1 billion. Are you interested? You'll be the CEO. We just want a 10% fee. And they say, "Sure, you've got that arranged, sure." So then the investment bank soft circles demand, and it goes around to all those desks, and all of a sudden you've got FingerMotion becomes Finger and Karma Motion, and it's a Chinese Indian company, and it's $100 stock. Anyway, that's what's coming for Finger, in my opinion. I don't know when. When I go to the high numbers, I'm just making the point. So if that happens, and I think you could start seeing that January, February, March. If that happens and the stock stays up there, and there's this huge short position, and they stop shorting, and the prime broker says, we're not going to take those orders anymore, boy. We're on the other side now. You could get your squeeze in finger. That I think could happen. That I think could happen. And then those boys are in trouble. So that's how I see FingerMotion. Nix down 362. Well, let me give you my view on that, and I'm using this chart. I could show it, but it takes me so long. This line right here, do you see this line, Mark, right here? That line I drew? That's $5. Approximately $5. This line, if you go from here, from this cluster here, over, it's about your 362. And this, you see this upward trend where it crosses here? It's around 3 something. So here's the theory, Mark. The theory is as the stock breaks out, it takes a long time. You could say it took a year and a half. It tried many times to break out. All of a sudden it does it, comes back and does it again in a flurry. But these become support. This morning 10 became support, and then 8 became support, and then this 5-6 range became support for a while, and maybe now it's the $3 range. But so what do you ask yourself? Is that it? Is that the trade? I would suggest to you, Mark, this morning I went live. You were probably walking Sharif. I went live and I said, don't chase it. But as it pulls back, maybe you can buy it. And I'm only talking non-serious money. Don't go jumping whole hog. But I'd have to say, now that it's 362, that is buying a dip for the rip. And to me, I'll do a chart here in a second, but to me, this upward trending line is now support, and that's where we are. We are now, I'm not being specific price. You can get that from Lion or Avid or Arca, but roughly this level is support. So what's your risk? Your risk now, if you buy it at 362, is this trend line, probably. Well, first this clutter here, but then the bottom trend line. What is that bottom trend line? It's about $2. But in the middle, where it's really clustered, it's 270, 250. So probably you've got $1 downside right now if you were to buy it. And do you think it could go back up? Do you think this is all it was? Do you think 50 million is it? Or does it go back up? I don't know. I don't know. If I had to predict, which I don't, I know, and you don't have to listen. I don't think it's over with. That was a lot of trading for a stock that has 3 million shares out, or 5 million or 4 million shares outstanding. And they did 55 million, 56 million. So to me, Mark, and I'm using rough numbers, by about 10 o'clock in the morning, there was 45, 46 million shares traded. The rest of the day, there's 10 million. That doesn't feel like it's all done. I know that's crazy, but it doesn't feel like it's finished. And if I had money, which I don't, I think I would buy, I don't know, 1,000 shares here at 347. I'd buy 1,200 shares at 347. Tomorrow or Monday, if this went back to 12 or 8 or 9, I'd sell a third of it, get my money off the table. And then whatever happened, it wouldn't bug me because it's all house money. And then if it were on this chart, these two lines here are 10 and 12. And it's so odd, Mark. That's where the stock went. I didn't draw this morning. I don't remember. I might have drawn it last week. I don't remember exactly. It's here on my desk. But I drew it. And this is the 10 to 12 range. That's where it went this morning. I've shown you other charts. This is a 1 year. This isn't the long 5-year chart. This is a 1 year. But to me, this level doesn't mean anything really. It doesn't. It's got a little bit of confirmation there. This level here is more important to me, particularly when you bring it out here. But in here, this mark right here, it dropped down very dramatically. There was a lot of back and forthing, and then it dropped, a lot of back and forthing. To me, that's almost a gap. That's almost a gap right there. And to me, it seems like that needs to be filled. Actually, I'm looking at this. This is the 5-year chart. This is the 5-year chart. I don't think when I look over here, this is like 180. I don't think that's going to happen. Why? Because this is all recruiter.com. It's not recruiter.com anymore. But it's the same. What charts are doing, they're trying to measure law of averages, large money. People put money up at these different levels, and after the stock is low, they don't sell, and they wait till they get back to their price, and I got out, I got my money back. That's kind of what charts are trying to measure. And to me, I don't have a straight rule here, I don't think. I did have one. I swear I would lose everything if I hadn't lost it already. Okay, I got a straight rule. Yeah, I could do it like that. Yep. Nothing's perfect, Mark. Nothing is perfect. But I don't know if you can see these. I think if this runs, if it were to break through and it ran, these would be stopping points here. But if it really ran, those won't stop it. Those numbers are 20 and roughly 25. Maybe a little higher. But then this one is a very powerful, I think. I think it's going to come up to this level for sure. If it were to really spike, that number right there is $40. And the previous highs, I don't, it might happen. That's like 180, 190. I don't think so. But here's this gap, Mark. It's hard to see, I'm sure. This gap. So if you ignore closing the gap, ignore that. Just go to the bottom here where it found support. That has a lot of confirmation here. That might be a reasonable target if you really want to go extreme right there. That number is $80. So if you were to buy some, and you've only got 15 minutes, if you were to buy some now, and it has more to it, which I think it does. I don't think it's over with. 50 million shares. That I don't think. Kit told you one with 250 million shares. I don't think it's over with. But don't, if you're playing it, don't, just money you can lose. Do it as a hobby, not as a vocation. If you bought it here at 315, wow. That is, by the way, Mark, that 315 is this crossing point right here. And that is the support, if my theory is correct. So if it were to bounce off of that, I think 5 might be a little bit, but if it did it like it did this morning pre-market, 5's nothing. So I might put out an order to sell a third of your stock, either at 10, 12, or something close to 20, like 18, yeah, or some teenage number. Sell a third there, and then put a third out at 40. I'm just looking at this chart, and maybe hold a third for 70 or 80. And always get ready to change that number downward. Or if you want to skip it all, just put it all out at this line. Let me write it, use it, well, I've used the same color. You could just put it all out here at this support, cross it over, come over to here. That's $60. That's $60. I'll pull up a chart before I sign off so you can see it. Anyway, Mark, bottom line, I think as a punt with a little bit of money that you're willing just to gamble with, I think you should buy Nixxy. It's not financial advice, but I think Nixxy could be fun for the next, few days. Let's see what Lion says. Lion would rather play conservative NFA. I don't know what NFA is, but yeah, go ahead, play NFA. I don't have any skin in the game. I'm just telling you what I think. Lion has good trading ideas. I think Nixxy at $3. I'll tell you, I think you can 10x your money by Thanksgiving. No, I'd say you can 10x your money by the election. So lots of luck with your erection. That's what the Japanese prime minister said to George H.W. Bush. Lots of luck with your erection. You could get away with those jokes back then. I don't know that you could get away with those jokes today. Yes, I think you should buy, not financial advice. It's a hot stock. It's been trading very conservatively. It never goes up, and it never goes down. Anyway, Mark, I just gave you my sense of Nix. I don't think it's over. Risk reward, what more could you want? What do you expect for nothing? Rubber biscuits? I think it's better than buying it at 8, better than buying at 12, better than buying at 6, better than buying at 5. You buy it at 3, you know it could go to 2. So you have a mental stop at 250. You risk 50 cents. You see what happens for 1 week. Tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I think you'll be able to take your money off of the table in thirds or in quarters. I think it'll go I'm trying to decide between 60 and 80. If it explodes again, I'll say 60. But you can go with Lion, who's a trader, and just don't do anything. 580 SPY. I don't trade the SPY, but I've said here, and I don't know if Lion's heard me, but let's go to the tape. I've been saying it for months though, but I wrote it down about a month ago, or 3 weeks ago, or 5 weeks ago. But I'll tell you again. And there's proof positivo. All right, October 22nd. So how long ago is that? That's not October 22nd. Must have been September 22nd. Oh no, that's last year. That's a date from last year. So I don't know when I wrote this down. Let's see if there's a date before it or after it. Anyway, within the last month, I wrote this down. Okay, so my target, Lion, for S&P, I wrote down 7,000, but I made the prediction of 8,000. I wrote it down here. NASDAQ, I wrote down 24,000. I made the prediction of 25,000. Dow Jones, I wrote down 55,000. I wrote 60,000. And the Russell, I wrote down 3,300. I wrote down 4,000. So my prediction for the S&P is 8,000, NASDAQ 25,000, Dow 60,000, and Russell 4,000. My prediction for silver, triple. Gold, it could double, but I don't think it'll double. I think gold will go to 3,500, 4,000. And oil and gas and copper and those things, they might go up. But that's not where I'd focus. Maybe platinum and palladium, I don't know. But those are the numbers I'm willing to give. I think that could happen before the election. That's 3 weeks. Or it could be before the swearing in of the next president, if there is a swearing in. So sometime in the next 30 to 90 days, I think the stock market is going to have a blow off top. Everybody's going to come in. It's going to be on the front pages. It's going to be in the headlines. Everybody's going to be talking about it. It's already been happening a little bit. But then, Lion, next year, or maybe the following, the worldwide economy and the debt and all the other is going to be so obvious you can't hide it. And I think the stock market will begin a collapse where it nearly round trips from when I left being actually I was a top producer, but from when I left. So I think the stock markets could go down 90%. Do you hear me? 90%. Take a look at what's in the, oh, I didn't write that. Okay. All right, look at the stocks. That's small print. And a lot of the stocks that are moving are on the NASDAQ. But I mean, look at the stocks in the Dow 30. Amazon, American Express, Amgen, Apple. Those are two of the big seven. Boeing, Caterpillar, Cisco, Chevron. That's Warren Buffett's largest position, I believe. Goldman, Home Depot, Home Depot, Honeywell, IBM, Intel, Johnson & Johnson, Coca-Cola, Chase, McDonald's, Merck, 3M, Merck, Microsoft, another one of the fancy seven, Nike, Procter & Gamble, Travelers, United Health, Salesforce, Verizon, Visa, Walmart, Disney. Weird. You know that Snow White's going to take down Disney, and Dow Inc. So anyway, that's your Dow 30. Let me go back. I want to take that down. Stop screen. So anyway, I think the stock market we're going to have a blow off top, and then guys like Lion are going to be stock traders, not stock market. They're not going to trade SPY. It'll become a market of stocks. It'll no longer be a stock market. It'll be a market of stocks, and you'll have to know your industries and and the stocks you're in. I also think it'll be if you pick the theme, whether it's Kamala or the Donald, the United States is going to pull in because the world is breaking down, and we're going to reindustrialize. We sent all our technology, we sent our brains, we sent our patents, we sent our money already to China. We created our competitor because it worked for the banks. And the banks are not American. The banks are international. The banks are Fink and Blankenfield and whoever runs them now. Diamond. They're not Americans. They're international. They own New Zealand and Monaco and yachts. Why do they own yachts? Because they're not American. So anyway, to continue to have our lives, we're going to have to industrialize. We're going to have to work on our infrastructure. We're going to have to bring factories home. And it doesn't matter who's president. It's just the fact we're going to have to do it. Or we're just going to become a nation like the UK or other countries that just decline and we're all retirees. I don't see that happening. So anyway, I think commodities and other companies are going to replace the companies on that list of the Dow. So when the Dow comes down, they'll change some of the names out. But anyway, Lion, I think the place to be in the future will be miners, physical, and industries other than the banksters. It's like Jimmy Rogers says, in the future, stockbrokers will drive taxis and farmers will drive Maseratis. Not political advice, not financial. I know. I'm not everyone knows everything I say is my opinion, and it's probably oddball. I also tend to exaggerate. I make my points larger than maybe they should be made because I want you to remember it. When I say it's going to go up, let's pick one of these. Let's say I say the Dow's going to go to 60,000 and you buy index. You buy an ETF or something. I'm not saying wait for 60. Hell, if it went to 50, I'd be thrilled. You get out. Because when it turns downward, you're going to see at some point a collapse in the markets and maybe the bond markets. You're not going to have time to sell. And you've never seen it before. If you're young, and you're going to be, what is happening? And this time it won't recover. This time it won't recover. So that's my prediction. My prediction, pain. My prediction, pain. Schwab ETF. You know, Line, if you know a way, I don't know how to play the Russell or the Ambo. I missed I signed up for a futures webinar. I like to buy the minis. That's what I'd like to do. I got to remember to do that. I think you could buy one mini or three minis on these indexes. You can make a shite load of money on the way up, quickly sell, and then buy some puts, maybe minis on the way down. I'd like to learn how to. I wish I knew somebody to ask. I used to have, when I was at Merrill Lynch, for 2 years, I think it was, I was the largest commodities broker. And I didn't know anything about commodities. But I had a client who traded commodities, and I brought the account to, we had a commodities desk in our office. And I made friends with this great guy. He lives near, great friend and a good man. And he did the commodities, and I got 50% of it. I was a big shot. All right, let's go up these, and then I'm going to probably sign off. Endeavor Silver is beautiful. I love Endeavor Silver. I love Endeavor Silver. There's another silver company I want to show you guys, but I want to make sure that they did do a lot of toxic financing. They changed CEO, and back a decade ago, a little longer, I put 75 grand in the company. I bought 300,000 shares, and it was worth. It was a private placement. It was worth, or essentially private. It was worth. It could have been as much as 5% of the company. I don't think that's right. I think it was worth 3% of the company at that time. I don't remember the exact number, but it was worth a big chunk of the company. Today, I have the certificate. I can't get it back into the system. There's one schlock firm out of California that'll rate me to get it back in the system. But the company did a reverse. So I started with 300,000 shares. I now have 30,000 shares. I paid 25 cents a share. Is that right? Yeah, 25 cents a share. They've done the reverse. And last I looked, it's like 60 cents. It was, though, forever. It was 20, 10, 15. Even after the split, it was less than I had originally paid. And the thing about it, Lion, it's the most beautiful silver company you've ever seen. They have reserves. They have huge upside. They have infrastructure. It's in a friendly government zone. It's a great company, but the shorts destroyed it. Sprott's an investor. But anyway, I want to call them first and make sure that it's available. But the last time I did a calculation, which was 2 years ago, my ownership of the company is now 0.003. 0.003, yeah, 0.003. So I went, this is how I look at things when I buy miners. I went from owning in paper form, I went from owning 120,000 ounces of silver. Back then, they've proven up more. But back then I had 120,000 ounces of silver in paper form, shares, through the shares. I think it's down. I don't know what it is today, but back then, a couple of years ago, I think it went down to something like 5,800, like 6,000. And that's the power of these criminals. You have a great project, but they just keep flooding the market with counterfeits, and the per share benefit disappears. And then they come on here and make fun of me. I've raised a lot of money over the last 20 some years, but I always put my investors first and the corporate client. So a lot of the companies I raised money for were like this one. And my payback only comes after my investor makes their money. And so my cash flows are like what is that called? An electrocardiogram. They go bleep, bloop, bleep, bloop, bleep, bloop, and then sometimes they go bloop. Anyway, Lion, I'd love to know. I used to trade the XMI. That's how old I am. I can't find one. I'd love to be able to buy options on these indexes. I don't know what options there are. I know it's got another run in it. Now, you say 280. Okay, maybe 280. 750. Well, Spiny, you could double your position or triple your position now, but I'm not telling you to do that, of course. Here he goes. 8,000. Well, I went to the extreme. If it only goes to 7,000, I'm going to consider that I was right, or 7,500. But I'll stick by 8,000. I think you're going to have a blow off panic while everyone, it's the end of the bull market, Lion. It'll be end of the 44, 43-year bull market. Be all over with. I'm thinking Weimar Republic. All right, and let's see. Nix is down to 260, 270. But look at the volume, Spiny. The volume is still it's 57 million shares. That's a lot, yes. But the volume from about 10:30 in this morning, it's about 10 million shares, 12 or 13 million shares compared to everything. I just don't think they're done. Yeah, why am I being mean? I wasn't being mean to you. I wasn't trying to be mean, but maybe I was. I don't know. Oh, the NFA. I wasn't trying to be mean. I wasn't trying to be mean about that. Bought more Finger. That's awesome. I think Finger can surprise. I really do. Everyone thinks it's, oh, disappointed, disappointed, disappointed. I'll have an interview, and if we find out it's going to cross to positive earnings and stay there and grow, ooh, up. Hey, John. Salam alaikum. Alaikum salam. I think that might be a good thing you did. I mean, it'd be good if one would go first and all that, but I think you might have it right in terms of timing. You might just have that right. All right, so Lion wants you to sign up with his channel. It's on YouTube, Lion of All Trades. He does charts and he listens to Pearl Jam. I don't know what he listens to. Yeah, hi, Beth. Ham doesn't think it's done at all. Ham thinks, and by the way, I would go with Ham on the trading more than I would go with me. But Ham thinks that Finger could squeeze at any time, and he said here he thinks it can go sky high. So what's wrong? Am I reading the question? I feel like that's one of those. That's one of those. Love William, but that's one of those bless his heart type comments. Anything new on that one? All I know is nothing's new. They're all down. I tried to get him to talk about them. They're both down essentially to $2. The story hasn't changed, and what you guys and me, I'm not making fun of any one person. I'm not picking on anybody, but we fail in the moment. We understand that throughout the market, guys like Jeff Lind have clients who sell shares which do not exist under the exemption provided by Reg Show, but they're still breaking the law because Reg Show says you have to locate the shares in writing before you enter the trade. It just gives you like 2 days to clean it up. They doesn't matter. They just sell. And Wagner doesn't care. So all of these stocks, the good ones and the bad ones, just the idea is keep selling. And what that means is every CEO, every team, every technology, every business plan is bad. They're all bad. Thousands of them are all bad. And they all deserve to be destroyed by Jeff Easton and the rest of these guys that come on here. And Ann Wagner doesn't care. That's our markets. So when you see a run up, as Ham said on this stock, The easy money is that first run up. Take your original money off. I'm not good at that. I'm going to admit to you, I'm not good at that. Because if I'm in something, my belief overrides that first move, and it's stupid. Just he's a trader. He knows how to preserve the capital. Take the original money at least off. And then when it comes back down, you're not frustrated. Well, you'll be frustrated, but it won't be a threat. Anyway, this is the backdrop. Constant selling of counterfeit shares in the trillions with a T. And Ann Wagner doesn't care. She has a lobbyist come give her a memo. She puts on her glasses. She didn't even read it before the hearing, so she has to read it. It's very small. She could have just said it out loud, but it doesn't interest her. She's a joke. She's purchased. She's corrupt. And at some point, she's also criminal after the fact or during the fact, because it's ongoing. So anyway, all these stocks, if there's no buying, Beth, they're going to go down. And where does the buying come from? When Lou Bravo would recommend something, there'd be a spurt of buying. Sometimes when Hams recommended something, there's a spurt of buying. I've noticed some other people in these communities can have an idea and there might be a little bit of buying. Then it's gone. Or you get a flash in the pan asshole like the guy that runs GNS, or the one with COSM, or the one with Vocal. And they go on the spaces, they talk with a deep, gravelly voice. They hire Frank Benedetto. He comes in and he talks about how he knows this person and this person, and he doesn't. Or he does, but it's just. And then all of a sudden everyone starts buying, and that moves it. But it doesn't matter, Beth. As soon as somebody with $50,000 or $5 million, as soon as they stop buying, and they're buying counterfeit shares, as soon as they stop buying, the selling continues and continues and continues and continues and continues. And it's all counterfeit shares. It's all fake. And Ann Wagner wants to protect that trading secret. She wants to protect that privacy because it's a constitutionally protected right that this trading secret, which is just theft, is just counterfeiting. She wants to protect it because she's an incompetent idiot who's been purchased. She doesn't belong in Congress. So, Beth, what's happening is selling. Now, Ham's not here, and he said on a call that he sold that stock to buy something else. I think he took a profit when it ran. I think he just got out. To my memory, he got out at $5.50, and he had paid $3.80 or something, and he waited and waited, and he just got out. He put it in. Maybe it was MLSS, something like that. But I don't think it matters what Ham did. The basic theory, Beth, on those two stocks still is in place. It's on Twitter. It's what other people have talked about. And just in general, it's that the core group of investors own more than the float. They own more than the float. And the short, in both cases, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's many multiples of the outstanding shares. So in both cases, a core group owns more than the outstanding shares, and there's a short position which Ann Wagner can't let you know about, because Ann Wagner says that's a constitutionally protected right to privacy, so that you can't know how large the counterfeit short position is, because John Adams said so. George Washington said so. They looked in the future. They knew there'd be high frequency trading. They knew that there would be collective pools of money in the trillions of dollars. They knew there'd be offshore criminals. They knew there'd be Jeff Easton shills, fronts. And so Ann says it's constitutionally protected. But my opinion, Beth, which is not Ham's, I think both of them still have. I don't see any of that selling. Those big holders, I have watched the stocks, even though the stock price is down, I haven't seen that selling, and I don't think they've sold. So why would they hold? I guess because they still expect pressure on the counterfeit shorts. So I would actually kind of give Beth the same advice. It's not advice. It's an intellectual exercise, as on NIXX. These stocks have come down, and my reaction is, damn, why didn't I sell? I could be buying more. But if I had money, and I don't, if I had money, I'd buy 100 shares of each of them. I'd buy those two stocks and NIX if I had money, and just see what happens. But I don't, and so I'll just be in the audience. But I would buy that stock, Beth. I would. It's not advice. For example, you could buy 300 shares here when it goes, and I think it will, and I don't have a chart in front of me, but maybe it goes to 6. You sell 100 shares. No, 300. And when it goes to 9, you sell 100 shares. When 100 shares goes to 50, you sell 100 shares, and then you save the last 100 maybe for 120 or $100. I think that's a risk reward that you could see still happen. Why? They're POS companies, but the story's out there, the setup's out there, and just because it hasn't moved yet doesn't mean it won't happen yet. Again, I mean, won't still happen. The negative on the one you've mentioned there, it already had 120 million shares that traded, and then it pulled back. And just maybe that's all she wrote. But who am I? I don't think so. I think both of them will have their day in the sun. But if I had to pick one that's going to have its movement, I think it's NIXX. But I don't know. That's 3 companies, those 2 and NIXX. I think Finger could double or triple here just based on what happens over the next weeks and months. I think Logic could triple or 5x very easily. And, there's room in there to play. Silver, I think, is going to double, if not triple, over the next 90 days. That has nothing to do with CEOs and Jeff Lind, but there are counterfeiters. Silver is a massively suppressed asset in the paper market. Anyway. When we're in DJ at 50 and at 4, we can't buy the dips and sell the rips. Well, you describe me. I don't have the resources to buy. I did for a while, but in that FingerMotion debacle of a little over a year ago, I lost that flexibility. For me, I went down and did that movie, or you got to get there, you got to get there. It was on the expiration day. That was really just show how stupid I was. I should have said, no, I can't do it. Anyway, I know what you mean. So you could have liquidated for losses and done it, but I wouldn't have. I'm not saying you should have. I wouldn't have. So what do I think about $50 in DJT and $4 in Finger? Yes, you can buy, particularly when it was way down, you could have averaged down, but it's hard. The human spirit says, I don't want to add to a losing bet, because we see the winning when it goes up. So we add to that, which can be a good strategy too. But you could have bought DJT. You could have doubled your position at $11 or $12. And I've already told you, Doug, that if I had money, I didn't do it. So it's just words. But if I had had money, I would have bought calls on DJT down at in that range, just to punt. But I didn't. Now, so what do I think on DJT? I've shown you charts, so I don't want to do it again. I think DJT is going to break $35. And then I think it's going to go to 70, 80, and it might go higher. So I think you'll make money, if I'm right, on DJT. It's unfortunate you didn't take the opportunity to establish a lower position, because but you are where you are. So if it goes, if I'm right and it breaks 35, I wouldn't sell. I'm not sure I'd sell at 50. It's going to be volatile. And you've already admitted you don't want to buy the dips, sell the rips. You just want to wait. I think it's going to go to 70 or 80, maybe higher. And you'll have a chance to get out. You'll have a choice then. You can sell calls and try to hold on to the stock and bring in some premium. You risk losing the stock, but if the stock comes down, you at least get that. Or you can buy puts and just hold on to the stock. If it depends on what the news is. But I think you'll make money in that trade. It's going to be back and forth, buy the dip, sell the rip, buy blah, 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 blah. And it might not break 35 quickly, but I think once it does, with volume, I mean, it'll be $60 anyway, in my opinion. And I'll refine that when I pull up the chart. Finger at $4, again, you have a chance to double your position at half the price. But if you don't want to do that and you just want to wait, I think FingerMotion I think it was 460 or 430 when they went on the NASDAQ. It's being destroyed by Jeff Lind and his clients. But it's also there's no real buyers. It's a confusing story. Money is going to the hot stories, not to Finger. I'm not talking about your money. I'm not talking about your money or the money that Ham is bringing in. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the broad market. It's in the indexes. It's in NVIDIA. So it's normal. And many of you are disappointed with the earnings release from Finger. That's in the market as well. Plus, there's constant selling of fake shares. Constant. People coming on here and trying to create FUD and all. It's just constant. It never stops. It is a strategy. It's criminal. It's collusion. It's racketeering. But anyway, Doug, I think with Finger, you've got a risk of tax loss selling coming. And that's the last risk I see in it. You're going to have in Finger continual selling from the criminals, and I think you'll see tax loss selling. Those are the two risks I see in Finger. But I think the selling pretty much, look, in a normal pre-Ann Wagner market where you had real price discovery, I would tell you that Finger's washed out. All the selling's finished, and that's what I expect. I think Finger's going up, not down. I think Finger is going to go up. But we watch it every day. You get frustrated. You want it to move now. And I don't see that as clearly as Ham does. I think it's going to take, I'll do an interview with Martin Shen as soon as he's willing. That might help, but you're not going to buy anymore. You didn't buy it when it was 2. You're not going to buy it if it goes to 4. And I'm not picking on you. I'm trying to tell you the facts. We're not going to buy anymore. We're fully invested. The criminals don't run out of stock to sell because Ann Wagner doesn't require the data which could be collected on fake shares. She doesn't require it to be disclosed. And she runs the oversight committee. I'm glad it's not run by a man, though. I mean, it does make me feel good that, at least we have women in power. I can see the benefit. Of course, men are corrupt too. So let me predict on Finger. Not looking at the chart. I think you're going to get an interview as soon as I can. You'll get an interview, and you might get 2 interviews from Martin. I think you're going to get an announcement on a financing. Why? Just because they canceled Univest. So I think you're going to get some sort of financing. Now the boo birds are going to say, oh, it's going to be dilutive. I don't think it'll be dilutive. I've sat with Martin. He's not going to do a dishonest. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the financial group. He's never going to do a deal with a dishonest financial guy like Jeff Easton again. But a financing would be good for the company. It might help them accelerate the development of that big contract. Okay, so I think those 2 things are coming. I think you're going to get an announcement potentially on a completely different contract, whether it's existing or not, that lets you know that there's big revenues growth coming. And I think finally you're going to get clarity on the 2 he mentioned in the earnings report, the C2 and the cloud. These are going to be those are all going to be triggers to buy. And then Doug, if Ham's right, if he has a friend that tells him, Roth Capital is going to put out at least an institutional note to their brokers, which is positive. That could be buying. And finally, Doug, then you get buying that's bigger than we are. And so anyway, if I had to predict Finger, we're at the end of October. I'm going to give you a range. If it's just going to destroy our morale and it's going to disappoint us and it's going to be horrible, I'll give you the horrible. It'll stay around this $2 number. I'm not looking at a chart, and we'll get into the end of November or the end of December, and we could see lower numbers as people sell for tax loss reasons, not for fundamental reasons. So it's possible it can go. It's $2. I'll pick a number. It might go as low as $1.50 for that obtuse reason. Nothing to do with fundamentals, just the timing of establishing tax losses. I don't expect that though, Doug. I do not expect that. I think those 3 or 4 things I told you, as they ripple through, 5 things maybe, as they ripple through the markets, I think Finger's going to go back to your $4 number. That's what I think by the end of, by January, end of January. I actually think it's going to go to $5, maybe $6 by the end of February / end of March range. The first quarter, end of first quarter. So I think Finger will double to triple from here over the next next 3 or 4 months. That's my conservative prediction. If Finger were to go up 2, 4, or 5, or 6, or 7 on a lot of volume and news, that could set the scene for what Ham is calling for. So my range is, you might be disappointed through the end of tax season. I don't think that's going to happen. And on the upside, you might get this massive forced buy-in of the shorts that Ham's calling for, and the stock goes to hundreds, if not higher, in stock price. Personally, I don't think that's going to happen before say January. But Ham, I'm not saying Ham's wrong. I want to make that clear. So those are the 2 outlying situations where I think 80% of the odds are, 80% of the odds, sometime by the end of the first quarter, I think FingerMotion will be a $5 to $6 stock. That's where 80% of the movement goes. It's $2 now, and it could overshoot that. And if it goes up there and stays and doesn't come back down, that could cause what Ham's looking for next year. So do not read what I'm saying as negative at all. I'm just calling it kind of how I see it. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm right at all. But I think you're going to make your money back. And if you can't do the buy the dips, sell the rips, don't worry. Just accumulate and just wait. And it's not pleasant waiting, but that's our arbitrage, Doug. As retail investors, that's our arbitrage. We don't have $100 million trading desk, and we don't have the high-speed, high-frequency computers that can arbitrage a tenth of a penny over and over again. That's how Ken Griffin does it. And we don't have Jeff Easton to go out and lie to CEOs with documents provided to him by a hedge fund and corrupt law firm, so we can go steal from the shareholders of that CEO, and the new and old. We don't have any of that. The only thing we have to give is time and sweat, tears and blood, however Churchill said it. He didn't say it the way the band said it. Hey, Alan, thank you very much. Alan Gallahue, thank you very much for $10. That other guy, if his $10 comes, I'm going to give it to all at once, one person. I'm going to give it that needs food or something. And that'll be the only good thing that guy's done all year. But I really appreciate it, Alan. I never ask for donations. I never ask for subscribers. I never ask for pushing that button in the notification. I hate that. I hate it. So I never ask, because I hate hearing it when people want. Before we go on, push the like button, push the notification so you don't miss the next drivel that I talk about, and subscribe. And I never ask for donations, but I really appreciate it. I do. I don't make any money doing this. But that's going to change. I'm going to start making things happen. Ham also said his people told him GDC could go to, well, Spiny, that's not fair, Spiny. That's not fair. Ham's not in these stocks that he talks about to buy it and trade it for that level. He would never do that. Ham is a trader. And so on all these stocks he talks about, he can't beat his instincts. He is what he is. He bought that stock, I think, at 380. Can't remember. I held it for 9 months, 10 months. It ran to 12 and he got out. I don't know the number. I don't know where he got out, but he got out. And then he put it in another trade. That's what Ham does. Now, on the other two stocks, one I don't want to mention, it's in receivership. I do not recommend trading that while it's in the expert market. But on Finger, he says over and over again, he's in it for life-changing money. But he's never said that about that. He never said, I am going to buy that stock and hold it to 1,000. He never once said that. In fact, he was really clear that he was going to do it for a trade and get out, and he did. So I don't think that's a fair criticism, Spiny. But let me talk about that number. I don't think that number is correct on how high that stock can go. I have heard way back when. I haven't heard anything recently. I've tried. I've asked around. I don't know anything, but I've heard it could go over 100. But that was a while. Shoot. That stock, it's been months, hasn't it? So I don't know what's true. I do not know what's true. But if you own it and it runs, I think we all have to learn to be like Ham. I kick myself. Why didn't I sell GTII before Frank Benedetto and Lou Bravo came in and told everyone to buy COSM? Why didn't I? Why didn't I sell it while I was going down? Why didn't I sell CRTD when my every instinct was telling me, and I called him and it was at $1.50. I said, this doesn't feel like this deal's going through. No, I just talked to Jeremy. It's happening. I just talked to the guy. It's happening. So I held on. Next day, 40 cents. I didn't sell at 40 cents, 20 cents. I didn't sell. There's some guys here that just immediately sold, got out at 40, got out at 30, got out at 20 before Frommer did his one for 500. So I can talk here, but it's hard to do. But if the one thing, even look at Nixxy this morning. Look at Nixxy this morning. I didn't know about it. I woke up early. I was giving treats and putzing around, but it goes to essentially $12. Boom, 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 and down. I don't know how to trade after or before hours. But again, the lesson is sell something. Because every time these things go up and you think it's going to go to the moon and all that, but every time these things go up, the selling comes in. So more often than not, Spiny, buying something at 3 and selling at 11, you're going to get a chance over and over and over again. So if you look at a plate, a smorgasbord of 12 deals, if you follow that strategy rather than listening to the huge upside, you might get a trade or you might just turn out to be right. It's going to be probably 1 out of 12, 1 out of 20 that actually go to the numbers that you're written down there. So he said it. All right, I don't remember. That's the number, Joe. I remember the lower one, by the way, the lower one. That's the number I remember him saying. I've heard other people tell me higher numbers. I don't believe any of them. If I'd made money every time we've heard something, I wouldn't be sitting here. He said it would go to 30,000. Oh, that's before the forward split. All right, so divide that by 200. Let's see what that is. $1,500. 1,500. I've heard that. I've heard that. But it was a while ago. I don't know how accurate it is. So I've heard that, Spiny. Yeah, I mean, it can run. I believe you, he said. I'm not questioning you. I'm not questioning you. Well, some stocks go that high, though. You know, that's a problem. Some do. Out of all of these that we're talking about right now, there's only one I would think might go that high. But Lion, or who's this? Yeah, no, it's Lion that said both of these things. I no longer, if you've followed me for a while, when I kind of first met him and started listening and hearing, and I'm not picking on him at all, because it dovetailed with my experience. I really believed these higher numbers would happen. I didn't think it would happen in GME and AMC, and I said so. But our experience, we've shared it now for 2-3 years, is whoever they are, they're all protected by Ann Wagner's privacy. They seem to have things under control. So you've got to get the ingredients just right to catch them unaware. But I'll point out to Lion and Spiny, what's weird right now, there seems to be several of these stocks going up. Either something's changing, or as they're happening, it's putting stress on credit lines and margin lines, and it starts happening somewhere else. I don't know. All I do know, other than that Roger Rabbit and Gus Fliakos and the Frank Benedetto stocks, the other ones, and even CRTD, vocal guy, those guys came in for this money, and they were good. They got it. Their companies are still surviving. But these other stocks we talk about, it's much bigger than we are. It's much bigger than we are. And I don't think we can make any of them move. All we can do is try to educate ourselves, understand what's going on, see a trend, and hope to be there when it lifts. And Line, for me, I got caught up in how big everything was, and that's happening. I think, looking back, that general idea, buy the dips, sell the rips, and if it keeps going, oh well, I missed it. But at least you have the cash to go on the next. You know, if like a friend of mine said about, one time I had a broken heart. He said, girls are like haircuts. If you sit around the barbershop, you're gonna get another one. Or he'd say, girls are like subway trains. If you miss one, another one's coming. That's kind of how deals are. The hardest thing to recover from is actually losing the bulk of your stake. That's very hard to recover from. And how do I know that? I'll leave you to figure it out. I don't think we should talk about the dead. Lou is in peace, resting. He paid his dues and tried to help people. I think that's fair enough. I think he tried to help people, and um, I think he did help people, and I think he saw something which he shared. Um, uh, I think I I don't want to be, because if you believe that, then you believe that he knew what he was doing. If he knew what he was doing, I think he made some mistakes. But I also think that his heart was in the right place. I think that if he were here today, he would agree with me. That's how I read him. I never talked to him on the phone, but I think he would um, call it as he saw it. And he might say, you know what? That is what happened. But this crime is bigger than one person. And I get frustrated because I think things were set up just the right way for that to happen. But the core issue isn't Lou, it isn't CEOs. The core issue is that in this era, and Ann Wagner said it there, they have all this data. They know the counterfeiting's going on. They know there's no price discovery. They know they're helping Steve Cohen, Larry Fink, Ken Griffin, and Ansem funds rip off America. They know it. They don't do anything. They don't do anything. So I have prayed for Lou. I'll pray for him again, I'm sure. And I've prayed for the people, his family, and the people he's helped. And just because he's dead, I'm not going to change how I see what happened. But I also believe that because he's now in the afterlife, I think, nobody knows, but I think that he is forgiven. I think he also forgives. And if there's an interconnection between the two worlds, I think he is trying to help us. And maybe oddities of all oddities, he's helping me express some of the things I express. I don't know. But Lion, I believe if Lou came in right now, he'd be okay with everything I've said. And he knows that I've both said the positives. Look, I've made mistakes. I've tried to say them too, mine. And I'm sure he would. But I'm very comfortable believing that Lou is not mad at me, and I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at him. But when people, you don't, but when people come on and attack me for what happened with GTII, that's one of the things that happened. And Finger, by the way. It's not the only one. It's not the only one. Look at Reichman. Look at Reichman. It's a tough battle. The criminals have every angle sussed. They have every angle sussed, except for fear, surprise, an almost fanatical devotion to the Pope, and a night out with the neighbor's wife, and the comfy chair. They don't have those things. We all make mistakes, and I look. He may. I don't know. Frankly, if I had it to do over again, if I had known the power of his sell recommendation, it would have been clear as everyone's panicking into COSM. And there was nobody that could excite people the way Lou could. It would have been obvious, hey, this is a good time to get out of GTII and Finger, at least temporarily. But it's clear in retrospect. It's not clear at the time. Clover Investments. I don't remember CLOV. I don't really remember it. I kind of remember it, but I don't remember how it traded. Yeah, but trading in and out, that's the market, you know. And I think of that stupid medical company that I think he made a shitload of money on that deal, and that was just a stupid. But some people had a trade, so that's the thing. You know, results aren't always equal to what could have been or what other people did. It's tough. It's tough. I don't know what that means. It's everybody. That's true. My theory, he was just trying to get people to get in, get up, get out, not to hold. Yeah, he was teaching. He was teaching. Lou got in first, called out trades to his peeps, got out. Yeah, I think that's true. I think he front run trades. I try not to do that, but I own some of the stocks we talk about. I've owned, but I don't want to tell you stories. But I've to my detriment, I try to tell my investors first before I act, and it's cost me over my lifetime. So that's not something I do. I don't go in and then try to get you all to pump it up so I can get out. I don't do that. But I reserve my right to trade as I see it, and my instincts trade and understand. And sometimes I'll tell you, like tax loss selling, what I was saying, I don't think a lot of people heard what I was saying. But I try to do my best to get it out. But I don't think we should talk. All right, I already read that. Not comparing Ham to Lou. Well, they're both bald. Those are all wild numbers. But I'm telling you, something like that's going to happen. Saying crazy numbers, getting out fast, smells like Lou. I don't say crazy numbers and get out fast. I haven't done that. When I did give high projections, you should see, I don't know where, I have notebooks about where I was going to sell and what I was going to do with the money. And I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I also have spent a lot of time, and I continue to tell you, do not diamond hand, and do not. I noticed the power of thinking, oh, this one trade's going to change everything. That is true sometimes. Look at what George Soros did with the British pound. It happens, but it doesn't always happen. And so now I think a lot of the trades we do, we have to try to claw back. The hardest thing is, if you get out quickly, you might miss that big move, and they don't come very often. If there's anything I've learned since GMC and AMC, which I've never owned any of, trades like that. How many have we seen since? Not very many. Oh, thank you, Joe. That's kind of you. I don't know. I don't always, I try to do that. Let me put it that way. I don't, I have a lot of insecurities. Thank you, Spiny. Everything's pulling back. Sound is cutting out. What does this say, Nunya? 500 to so you could buy 250 shares. Might be worth it. One of these other two trades you could do. You know, one thing, if you can turn 500 into 1,000 or 1,500, it's not easy, but if that happens, you take the original 500 off, you got 1,000, turn 1,000 into 2, and so now you've got 2,000. You turn that into 3, and then you turn 3 into 6, and then 6 into, maybe you get lucky and it's 18. And then you turn 18 into, you know, a little over 100,000 because you got lucky. Once you have 100,000, which is hard to get to, then you can do maybe several or none at all. Sound is cutting out. Oh, well, probably something I did wrong. ARW. Yeah, I think Ham's a good guy. Yeah, I think DJT is a predictor on Trump winning. I think, just to be clear, Mark's not here anymore, but I think Trump's going to win. But that's different than saying who our next president's going to be. All right, I think I'm going to sign off. There's no way in hell I would ever invite you to an interview with Martin Shen. Zero chance. So don't put it on your calendar. All right, I think. Yeah. I would say I'll leave that alone. All right, I think I went through all the questions. Let me see what's at the bottom. I want to show you. I've just got to keep the pressure on her. Just got to keep the pressure on her.
I want to just say that the Consolidated Audit Trail, or CAT, originated from SEC Rule 613 and was designed to reduce market volatility following the 2010 flash crash. As proposed, the CAT would be the largest securities database ever created. Think about that for a moment. And the most massive government database of any kind outside of the National Security Agency, the NSA. According to former Attorney General Barr, who wrote a marvelous op-ed, he quotes, "Accepting this sweeping surveillance would eviscerate fundamental privacy protections." And I share the Attorney General Barr's concerns. And as members of this committee have repeatedly made clear, there is a constitutionally protected interest in the confidentiality of financial transactions and personal financial information. The CAT would violate these rights by granting SEC or SRO employees access to every investor's financial transactions without any evidence of wrongdoing. The solution to this problem is simple. HR 4551 prevents the SEC from requiring an exchange a national securities association or a member of such an exchange or association to provide personally identified information with respect to the individuals or reportable event. I thank the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Loudermilk, for his legislation. I urge all my colleagues to support this legislation, which ensures that everyday Americans investing in the stock market will have their privacy rights protected, and I yield back. I want to just say,
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, that woman. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I can't even stand it. Can't even stand it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Fair value. You said Marco credit loss event, there would be a principal write down.
No, seriously, clonic once a year.
You got a matching little butler boy, you butt fuck.
Are you done?
I think so, yeah.
God, I pulled muscle in my back from yelling. Mortgage defaults have done nothing but go up. Yet you quote us a higher price on the bonds. Please explain that to me. There's no way that makes sense. There's no way you're marking these swaps appropriately. I mean, why shouldn't we back out of this trade right now?
Didn't I say when we made this deal that the rating agencies, the SEC, and the big banks were clueless? Didn't I say that?
Yes, you
Didn't I say it?
Yes, you did. You did.
Shut up. Now their foot's on fire. They think their stake is done and you're surprised?
That's not stupidity. That's fraud.
Tell me the difference between stupid and illegal and I'll have my wife's brother arrested.
That was fine.
I guess you just don't realize how clueless the system really is. Yes, there's some shady shit going down, but trust me, it's fueled by stupidity. Look at yourselves. You know, you pass yourself off as cynical people, but you still have some faith in the system, don't you?
I don't.
Well, except for Vinny. And who gives a shit?
No way.
Pretty accurate. Pretty accurate.
I wish I was gay. I'd make it with Steve Martin. You know that? Actually, he's my second choice. No offense. All right. And so quiet. I feel like E.F. Hutton just spoke. You know? Got a cigarette, okay? You don't mind, do you?
Give that up.
I got a crazy doc that told me to keep smoking if I want to stop chewing gum, so what the heck? How long do you expect to be in Shanghai?
You wanna talk about your movie?
All right, I'm gonna just check what Novak is doing in Saudi, and we're gonna sign off. Well, they don't tell you, do they? He conquers Djokovic. Jannik Sinner conquers Djokovic. Darn it. Darn it, darn it, darn it. That's too bad. That's too bad.
Over 30 years, and we know how to help. We're here to help you.
Back and forth as Sinner tries to finally shake Djokovic for a spot in the grand final. And he seals it with a kiss. And the Renaissance artist currently known as Jannik Sinner tames the leader of the Wolves. defeating Novak Djokovic in 3 sets, and he will seek all the glory in Riyadh in 2 days' time.
That's too bad, Joker. That's too bad. That's too bad. All right, I'm going to sign out, everybody. Thank you. And peace.